It's the Mixed Martial Arts Hour with
The Mixed Martial Arts Hour back in your life on this Monday, October 12th, 2015. Hello again, everyone. I'm Ariel Helwani inside our New York City studio. If you're watching us live in the United States, happy Columbus Day to you. I have no idea what Columbus Day is all about. Of course, I'm sure it has something to do with Christopher Columbus, but really, what does it all mean? And why are people not working, for the most part, today in America? I don't know. I'm working. I'm here. I'm happy to be here. I can't wait for today's show. Also, happy Thanksgiving to all my fellow Canadians out there enjoying Thanksgiving. Truth be told, I never celebrated Thanksgiving as a youngster. It wasn't really a big deal in Quebec. I'm not sure why either. I got a lot of questions that have been unanswered at this point in my life, and I'd like to know why in Quebec we don't celebrate Thanksgiving. Regardless, it's Thanksgiving in Canada, so happy Thanksgiving. If you're off, I hope you're watching our show with your family while eating turkey, if that's what you do in Canada. But most importantly, happy 7-year wedding anniversary to my lovely wife, who you saw on this show last week. What a ride it has been from the beginning, and I love her very much, and I can think of no better way than spending our 7-year wedding anniversary than me doing this show right here and her alone at home. All right, what are we talking about? By the way, I first have to say, speaking of last week, I feel like I'm still coming down from that emotional roller coaster. I can't thank you all enough for the kind words and that video. I mean, Monday night, Tuesday even, I was still very, very, very worked up over it. It was something that I'll always cherish. So again, thank you to Andy Mayer and New York Rick for that. By the way, big week for New York Rick. He's getting married on Saturday. How about that? Actually, no, incorrect. His wedding is Saturday. He already got married. That's how weird of a guy he is. He got married on one day, and a year later, it's his wedding. Very strange. We will dig into that a little deeper later on in the show, but we got a lot to discuss on this show. Once again, thank you very much for all the kind words, about 300. And like I said, I try to make every episode 300-esque, 400-esque. I try to raise the bar each and every week, and I think this week we have proven that. Very interesting cast of characters joining us this week. What's going on? All right. Around 3:05, John Fitch, who is facing Yushin Okami in a welterweight fight at WSOF 24 this Saturday at Foxwoods in Connecticut, will be joining us in studio. John Fitch returning. He liked it so much the first time, he's back for more a second time around. So I look forward to that. Cody Garbrandt of Team Alpha Male will stop by. Big week for them. He'll stop by at 2:45. 2:25, Joseph Duffy, who of course headlines UFC Fight Night Dublin in a little less than 2 weeks, will stop by at 2:25. Joseph Duffy, currently in my hometown of Montreal right now, training at TriStar. 2:05, Sage Northcutt, Super Sage Northcutt, the rising star that is the 19-year-old Sage Northcutt. He'll stop by to talk about his whirlwind of a week, UFC 192, that whole fight week experience, his amazing debut, all that and then some. Looking forward to talking to him for the first time. 1:45, we'll talk to Travis Browne in his first interview since his suspension and then his suspension being lifted. Lots going on with Travis Browne. Of course, he has a fight coming up in January against Matt Mitrione. Looking forward to talking to him. 1:25, we're going to talk to Johny Hendricks about what happened to him at 192, and 1 o'clock, as I promised last week. Don't doubt me. Duane Ludwig will stop by to talk about all that's going on in his life. Of course, as always, we'll take your questions and comments at around 3:50 this week. So hit us up using the hashtag the MMA Hour. Leave a question or comment in the comment section below. We are starting earlier this week, 20 minutes early, because we had to accommodate the biggest newsmaker of last week. So very excited that he is joining us. Excited that he's leading off the show. Apropos, if you ask me, we're talking to the UFC bantamweight champion, TJ Dillashaw, right off the bat. He joins us right now via the phone. TJ, how are you?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me on.
I appreciate it as well. So, wow, what a week it has been for you. From what I understand, it was around this time last week, Monday of last week, that you informed some of the members of Team Alpha Male that you'll be going to Colorado for your next camp. In particular, Elevation Fight Team. And of course, once this news came out on Tuesday, it spread like wildfire, a lot of takes going back and forth. A week later, given the reaction and what has transpired since, are you still happy with the decision you made?
Oh, absolutely. There's no other way I would have made the decision. I mean, obviously, it's been really tough, actually a lot tougher than I even imagined. I thought it was going to be going over a little bit easier, but you really find out who people are when you got to make these kind of decisions.
So why tougher than you thought? What happened that you weren't expecting?
I thought some of the guys on the team would. I mean, actually, everyone did actually take it that way, but I feel that Uriah took it a little bit harder than I thought he was going to take it. I thought he was going to understand my position and understand where I'm at, and kind of feeling like he almost put me in this position.
In what respect?
I kind of want to talk about the position I've been put in. I've been stuck in between Uriah and Duane Ludwig for this last camp, going back and forth for my training camp, and these guys bickering at each other and making it tough on me. He brought a coach into Team Alpha Male in my last 2 years of my career that I learned to believe in, I learned to love, and I learned to trust with my career. And then he leaves, and then a bunch of drama happens, and I'm having to choose where I want to go and who I want to train with. Am I not supposed to train with a coach that I put all my faith into and help me win a world title? I believe if you go back and look at my fights in the last 2 years and see how my kickboxing has developed, I owe all that to Duane. It's a very, very tough situation to be put in.
So do you feel almost like your hand was forced, given what's happened, especially in the last couple months, that you had to make a decision one way or the other? Either you're staying with Alpha Male full time or you're going to Colorado to be closer to Duane, but you couldn't keep doing what you were doing for the last couple fights?
Yeah, I guess so. Obviously more in this last week, I was forced into a lot of more things than I thought was going to happen. My plan was, I told Uriah, look, man, I got a big fight coming up. I gotta do what I believe is best for me getting ready for this fight, and that's spending my whole camp in Colorado. I split it half and half my last camp, and it was really tough. It was hard to do, going back and forth. And I just felt, with the team they have out there, with the coaches they have out there, I felt a little more comfortable with spending my camp out there. And, he took it pretty hard, and I was actually forced out of the gym. I'm not allowed to work out at Alpha Male anymore because of that decision I made. I live in Sacramento. I've lived in Sacramento the last 6 years, and I've been putting in a lot of work here and helping the guys out as much as possible. I teach kickboxing classes on Mondays and Thursdays, and that's just not really going to fly with me when I get into camp. And it's tough for someone to not understand that I put my heart and soul into this team as much as I possibly can to kick me out of the gym. I'm not allowed to show my face at Alpha Male, which is kind of crazy to me.
How have you been handling that? Is that heartbreaking for you? You've been banned from a gym that you've been a part of for your entire career, right?
Oh, yeah.
So what's that like for you? How do you stomach that?
One day at a time, and I don't know, man, it's tough. Super tough. Just know that I'm making the right decision and that I got a big fight coming up, and ultimately that's the most important thing. I made this decision to train somewhere else. Like I said, I didn't think it was going to be as blown up and as ridiculous as it is now. But it's real tough, man. Especially when I'm best friends with all these guys. Not only is it training partners and guys I want to do well in their careers, but guys that I love and care about every single day. So it's a super tough thing going on.
How are you with Uriah now after that decision? And I don't know if you heard it, but I'm sure you've seen some quotes. He was on the Stud Show radio podcast, which is an Alpha Male podcast, talked a lot about this situation. After all of this, in the last 5 days or so, what's your relationship like with him?
I'm just trying to look past all this and understand that maybe his feelings are hurt. But, he kind of put me on blast when he went on that podcast. I'm trying to be the bigger man and not to bring out any negativity and what he's doing here in Sacramento, because it'd be very easy for me to do so. Especially after him putting me on blast on Stud Show Radio, when I went and just talked about the positives of Sacramento and the positives of me moving camps, and then he got to get on there and talk a little crap and throw me under the bus. I just don't want to be that guy, and I want to keep my relationship going with him. And the only way to do that is to just look past it. I understand that his feelings are hurt, that I'm going elsewhere, but I feel like he should understand it just like everyone else on the team. I feel it's a little bit more understandable with some other guys on the team, and his feelings are hurt, I guess. I want to continue a relationship with him. I want to continue to be his friend. So I'm just going to be the bigger man.
So are you done with Sacramento? Are you moving to Colorado full-time, especially now that you're no longer welcome at Alpha Male?
Yeah, I'm actually heading today. I'm catching a flight to Colorado to go and find a house to lease out there for the next year. I'm definitely set out there for the next year. Not saying I'm not going to be in Sacramento at all. My family lives here. They live an hour and a half from Sacramento. I've created a life here the last 6 years in Sacramento, so it's not like I'm not going to be here. I'm keeping my house in Sacramento, but I'm not allowed to be in the gym I'm not allowed to be in the gym in Sacramento, so it's almost kind of pointless to come back when getting better is in the off season. You prepare yourself in camp, you sharpen your tools in camp, you get better out of camp. And so if I'm not allowed to come back here and work out, then it's pretty ridiculous. I'm full-time in Colorado.
So, okay, so ever since this news came out, and I'm sure you've seen it because you look at your Instagram, your Twitter, it's amazing the amount of negativity that has been thrown your way. And a lot of it started with what Conor McGregor said about you. We talked about this on my show. And now you've been viewed as this, or painted as this Benedict Arnold, this quote-unquote snake in the grass. A lot of venom thrown your way. Has this blindsided you? Did you expect, when you knew that this was coming out, did you say, oh, okay, this is going to happen to a degree, but the amount in which it's happened, did that surprise you, or were you fully expecting that? Because it's been pretty amazing to just look at the comments. It's all negative towards you.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It was just, I guess, timing is everything, I guess, on that, and it all happened at the time of Conor calling this out. It's actually kind of ridiculous for him to call me a snake or a traitor, when the fact that I made a business decision. I feel like that's, that's like Conor's thing, is making business decisions. It's all about business. The fight business, and I'm getting told I'm a snake because I made a business decision for my career, and that's just pretty hypocritical to me. And now we got all these people believing in what he says. If I'm a traitor, then I feel like he's even a bigger traitor to his country. He reps Ireland and he's a big countryman, and then he lives in the United States now. He moved to Las Vegas. Why? It's better for his career. It's business, and so I hope everyone understands that. Like, I'm just trying to stay on top. I want to become the best MMA fighter possible, and I need coaches to do so, and right now in Sacramento, I'm teaching kickboxing classes. Martin Campman's moving home. We have a great mitt man and a boxing coach, but he's a boxing coach, we have to coach each other at Team Alpha Male right now, and that's a big problem for me. When I've noticed what a coach is going to do for you and how much better it can make you, I need that in my life. So it ultimately is a business decision. I can have these haters out there, but haters going to hate.
Duane isn't officially a part of Elevation Fight Team, although he lives in the same city, and I know he has a good relationship with Leister Bowling and those guys. If they weren't based in Colorado, and Denver in particular, would you have not even entertained that thought? Does this make it easier because he's there as well?
Oh, absolutely. The only reason why I even know about this great team is because of going to Colorado. So I wouldn't even have known about Elevation Fight Team and all the great coaches out there if I wouldn't have gone to Colorado. Leister Bowling is an awesome wrestling coach, and as well as a head coach, and he leads by example. He makes everyone accountable. He makes you feel bad for missing practice. They got Elliot Marshall teaching jiu-jitsu. Lauren Mandel, one of the best strength conditioning coaches out there. They got an awesome striking coach out there, Christian, that I'll be hitting mitts with, and then Duane. So, yes, Duane is a huge influence on this. I was going to work out with Duane no matter what. That's why I went to Colorado for my last camp, not even knowing what was out there. I went out there. I just packed myself up and knew that I needed to be around Duane. He makes me more confident, and I know that I'm a better fighter around him. So, yeah, he's a huge influence on this.
When Uriah was on this show and spent around 80 minutes or so talking about the whole story between him and Duane and the falling out, if you will, was that the breaking point for you? Was that the final straw, or was it something else?
I wouldn't say it was the final straw. The final straw is just talking to some of the coaches out in Colorado and thinking about my career in the long run. That definitely helped. That wasn't very cool in my eyes. A lot of it was true, on both ends from what they've been saying about each other, but a lot of it's blown out of proportion too. And to go on an 80-minute rant about someone's a little bit ridiculous, and both those guys going back and forth at each other through the media is a little childish, and so that definitely helped me push me in one direction. But ultimately, it's about me wanting the best for my next fights and my career, and I think I'm going to grow more as an MMA fighter with some coaches around me.
When you first came out and talked about this news last Tuesday, you talked about it being a business decision and you getting paid. And who can fault you? You're a fighter for a very short amount of time. You got to make that money. We all understand that. Since then, Uriah on that show talked about how I think if you dedicated your life to mowing lawn for a year, you'd make the same amount. So, and even Brian Stan, while complimenting your decision, said maybe in hindsight you shouldn't have talked about the money because that leads to other issues. Guys compare. In hindsight, do you regret saying that, or are you fine with putting out the reasons? I think a lot of people appreciate that honesty, but it has brought upon these other comments.
Yeah, I mean, I don't regret it at all. It's just the fact of MMA. If I would have stayed here at Alpha Male, I would have put a lot of money in to be my own coach, to where I'm getting sponsored. It's a sponsorship from Muscle Farm that's willing to put some money behind me. Not only money, but to set up my camp the way I need it. To bring in training partners that I need, to figure out the best situation for me to be the best fighter possible. So, no, I don't regret talking about it. It's a situation I couldn't pass up. It was on my mind. I'm a very honest person, and I'm going to tell you exactly how it is. I can't really hide any details of what's going on. And I'm in a very fortunate situation, and Muscle Farm believes in me, and I want to believe in what they're going to do for me.
Are they paying you big money to go over there?
No, I wouldn't say it's definitely not huge money, but it definitely makes a difference. Okay, here's what it does. It's pretty much just going to help me pay for my coaching. I still have to pay for my coaches. I still have to do that. It's just helped me do so. It's pretty much the same thing as getting me a sponsored monthly from someone else. It's helped me figure out my camp and be able to put as much energy into my camp as well. I don't have to go and mow lawns, if that makes a difference.
Right.
For the camp.
You're no dummy. I know you see the comments out there and what people in the media and fans are saying. This is all leading to a fight between TJ Dillashaw and Uriah Faber. Are you open to this fight now based on what's happened over the past week?
I didn't think I would be until Uriah started saying the stuff he did. He's the one saying that he's more than willing to fight me now, And I thought we were a lot closer friends than that. I put my heart and soul into this team, and I thought we were a lot closer than that. So, he's obviously looking for, I think, a big fight in his career, and I don't want to have to do it, but I'll be the last statement on his career if that needs be. But that's not the way I really want to do it.
But now he talked about Dana White asking him twice and him turning it down. If you get that call after Cruz that they want you to fight Faber, you can understand why they would want it. The amount of attention this has received is pretty insane. Do you say yes at this point?
Yeah, probably most likely, yeah.
And given your training sessions in the past, how confident are you? Because he knows a lot about you. He helped groom you into the fighter you are today to a degree. Is this a fight you're comfortable as far as skill versus skill is concerned?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah. How strange would that be for you and with your relationship to the guys, or do you feel like there is no more relationship with those guys anymore? You're your own.
No, there's definitely a relationship with the guys, even with Uriah. I don't want to have to fight Uriah. That's not something I want to do. I love the guy. I think the ball's in his court. I'm the champion. I have the belt. The ball's in his court. And what he wants. I'm leaving it that way. What he wants to do. I want to keep relationships with all these guys. I love them all. They're family to me, not only teammates. There's not one guy on that team I don't like. Even the guys coming up, they're gonna have a future at Team Alpha Male with all the young guys coming up. They have some studs coming out of that room. It's a bunch of iron sharpening iron. I just feel that they could benefit from having some coaches there. They could benefit from me being around teaching kickboxing classes, which I've already been doing, but now I'm forced out of the gym, which is very hurtful. It's just I need a coach as well. I can't be coaching everyone else and coach myself, and I just don't understand how Uriah doesn't see that. The sport is growing. The sport is becoming amazing. There's guys like Sage Northcutt coming in at 19 years old and looking good. These guys are going to catch up to us, and I got to continue to get better.
I understand Joseph Benavidez got married on Friday. You were all there. I saw pictures of this photo evidence. What was that like? I saw pictures of you sort of next to Uriah. Did you guys talk? Did you try to clear the air, or was it awkward?
No, it was good, man. It's fine. Maybe I guess a little bit of awkwardness, but no, I'm fine with it. He's making his decision, I guess maybe strictly off of business too. Who knows? I'm going to be the bigger man, like I said, and I want to continue a relationship with Uriah. I don't want this to be a bunch of drama, so I'm trying to continue life as it was. I had a great time at the wedding. It was one of the best weddings I've ever been to. It was amazing.
Are you fully expecting in the back of your mind, given how big of a fight this would be after Cruz, that you're going to be offered this?
Yeah, I've definitely talked about it, with my management, with my wife. It's probably something that's going to be pushed towards me, I'd imagine. I guess it's just, I'd imagine Zeus is pretty happy about this.
Yeah. Do you think that, I mean, you can't foresee the future, but it's amazing. You still have 3 months, more than 3 months before the Cruz fight. How are you going to, every single interview that you do from now till then, I bet, and it's amazing. The Cruz fight is a fascinating fight. Like I said, I think to you, last time we were on the show, it's maybe the fight I'm most looking forward to stylistically coming up. And I would imagine like 80% of your interviews are going to be about this topic. How are you going to deal with that distraction?
So that's what I'm dealing with it now. I'm getting everything I want out now. I'm coming on your show now and speaking my mind. When my fight gets closer and I get into camp, I'm going to tell them, if you want to ask me a fight about me and Dominic Cruz, I'm more than happy to do an interview with you. If you want to talk about me leaving Team Alpha Male, I will not do an interview with you. If you ask me that question at all, I will stop the interview. It's just the way I'm going to have to play it. I mean, this isn't about me and leaving Team Alpha Male. It's like, what about all these other fighters that leave camps to go to different camps to become a better fighter? Like, this is being blown out of the water. And if you want to ask me about Dominic Cruz, the biggest fight of my life coming up, by all means, I'll talk about it and how I'm going to win this fight. But anything else, I will just stop the interview.
Why do you think it's being made into such a big deal?
Maybe just because of the fact of how close Team Alpha Male is. We haven't had anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had guys leave, and no one that's been the prime group of the last 6-7 years. I mean, we've all stuck through. We've worked through some problems and tried to figure some things out. That's why we brought Duane in. I mean, that's the only reason why Duane even came in, is because a bunch of the guys met up with Uriah and told him we needed a coach. Uriah did a great job and research on who we should bring in, and it was a fantastic thing. And then it turned into this. So it's just because I think I'm the first one of the big name that's leaving from the team.
Just throwing it out there, do you think part of it has to do with the fact that you're the first champion? Did you ever feel afterwards that there was any resentment towards you?
I didn't. They've done a great job backing me. Every guy in my weight class, every guy on the team's done a great job supporting me, and I actually never felt any resentment. Maybe there is, I don't know, but I definitely did not feel it. They've done a great job staying as a family. I mean, I think it's just, I don't know. I don't know what this is all about.
Yeah, and of course, I should clarify, first UFC champion, of course, Uriah Faber, decorated WC champion. But, I mean, it's a big deal. It's a much bigger stage, and you were the first. That will always be the case. So right now, you're going to Colorado. Is that it? I mean, are you all packed up, or you're just going to check it out? You're coming back to Sacramento. I would imagine Sacramento, not a very big place. You're going to run into these guys. It's gonna linger until you leave, probably, right?
Yeah, I mean, I hope I run into these guys. Like I said, I'm family with them. I want to continue to be friends with these guys. Yeah, I leave today to go find a house. I don't have all my stuff packed up yet. I need to figure out where I'm living and figure out that whole situation. I'm going to go out there and get some practicing in right now, since I can't practice here, other than shadow boxing in my backyard, doing whatever. But go out there, practice, find a house, hang out with the team. That's one thing that I feel bad about as well, is that the guys that started the Elevation Fight team, the guys that are out there that are already really good, I feel like getting overlooked by this. You got the Neil Magny's, the Brendan Thatches, the Tony Stens, the guys that aren't even in the UFC that are amazing. One of the best sparring partners for my last 3 or 4 camps, Cody out there. There's so many talented fighters out there that I don't want them to be overshadowed by this drama that's going on. I'm moving into an established great team, and I'm excited about it, and I'm glad they're letting me come. They're letting me join their team.
In the back of your mind, can you understand why Uriah said to you, you can't come to the gym anymore, or do you feel like that's completely off base and unfair?
I do think it's unfair. I mean, I can understand where he's coming from. Him thinking that I have to leave to do what I can because it's not good enough there. That's a hard truth. Hopefully it lights a fire under his ass and he fixes some things that happen for the rest of the guys. But I do think it's unfair because I've given back. I feel more to this team than he has in the last few years. I'm in there teaching practice when he's not even in the gym. It's funny, he said since his whole announcement and me saying I was leaving, he's seen me more at the gym. The only reason why he's seen me more at the gym is because he's been around more. I'm the one putting in all the hard time there and teaching classes and being there. I'm one of the guys that's in the gym year round. So yeah, I do feel like it's unfair. I feel like I put in a lot of effort to make the team better.
What about this reputation that you have this temper and that you hurt guys and things like that? Is that unfair?
I definitely have something I've had to work on. It's just my competitive edge, in practice. I I definitely don't do it maliciously. It's something that I'm just an aggressive. Like when I get into sparring, I spar a little bit aggressive. I'd say it got blown out of the water. It's definitely a fault of mine that I have, but I think it was harped on a little bit too much. I mean, I'm aggressive. I feel like that's what's won me my world title though as well. But I had to control it, and I mean, I have to continue to try to control it as need controlled aggression. To bring it out when I need it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
The two last quick things, and then we'll let you go. And I really appreciate the time. He used this term family, and actually, I do really believe that the alpha male team is a family. Like when you won the belt, it was amazing to look at your teammates react to the win because you can tell there was no jealousy there. I mean, they were so happy for you. Do you feel like that's salvageable at all to still remain a part of that family? Just like. You're part of the sister camp, if you will, and you're still viewed as, one of those guys? Or do you think as time goes on, because it's all well and good a week later to say you want to be a part of it, but you know how this thing will blow up. Do you think as time goes on, it's just going to be impossible to remain that way?
I don't think so. I think as time goes on, it'll make it easier.
Okay.
At least I hope so. I hope some feelings get less hurt from it. But I'm definitely going to put my effort in to try to continue to be a part of this family because it's helped me in so many ways with just life and my career. There's no way of around it. I love these guys. So, I think we'll see that it'll be a little bit easier here in the near future, actually, even too.
And like I said, this situation has been brewing for quite some time, and I think anyone leaves another camp and we don't see this coming, it's just a story. A guy leaves a camp, but because of the back and forth and all that, it's turned into this soap opera, if you will. Is there anything that, in hindsight, you wish you could have done differently, or is this the case of a champion somewhat outgrowing his team and looking to remain as competitive as possible, keep that edge, and go find some fresh training elsewhere? Is that all that this is, or is there more to it that you wish you could have done differently?
That is what it is. Everything you just said. The only thing I would have done differently is maybe the timing. Maybe I should have done this before Conor McGregor decided to talk some crap on Ultimate Fighter, and then all of his minions are going to follow and talk a bunch of crap. Guy's a very influential person. He's growing huge. He's smart with his words. I think he saw this coming before Uriah did. He knew that I have a close relationship with the coach. Like that's something you can't pass up. Once you get that relationship, I have a guy that works harder at his job than I do. And that's, it's hard to find. So I guess, just the timing. I would have done it maybe probably earlier, if I could have.
Okay.
I was trying to figure this out, though. I was trying to salvage what I have as a family. I was trying to figure out, hopefully we're going to switch some things up. We're going to bring in some coaching, and it's going to be a different situation. So I was trying to hold on as long as I possibly could to this because, like I said, it's a very tough situation for me. Even just to tell Uriah that I wanted to do my full camp in Colorado was a really hard thing for me to do, I wish I would have done it earlier, but it was hard because I was trying to hold on to something,
Last quick thing, was this 100% your decision, or did Duane try to get you to go over, Leister Bowling, anyone else try to recruit you to leave the team?
Oh, 100% mine. Yeah, when Uriah said that Leister recruited me, that was kind of crazy because Leister is the one that told me, he's like, do what's best for you. If staying in Sacramento is best for you, then you need to do that. He's like, he wasn't telling me, it was before anything of me being sponsored came into the question, saying that, I need to figure out what's best for me. And do you think traveling back and forth is the best thing, staying in one spot? And he liked me as a person. I like him as a person. And he just wanted the best for me. He didn't try recruiting me. It was me making this decision all on my own.
TJ, really appreciate you coming on, especially before your flight. Good luck with the move and looking for a place and all that. Good luck with this transition. And, of course, good luck in camp. Thanks so much for the time.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, there he is, the UFC bantamweight champion, TJ Dillashaw, joining us. A emotional week, a hectic week for him. A lot of news coming his way and from his neck of the woods in Sacramento. What a story this has been. And like I said, I think a lot of people, as much as there are some who feel like, this is all about mano a mano and martial arts, everyone's attracted to this kind of soap opera, this kind of drama, and it's one that we've been seeing for quite some time. And when you throw out words like family and the references or the similarities to The Godfather and all that, I mean, this is a guy who was brought in by Uriah Faber, and they appear to have had a great relationship, and he became a champion. He was a part of a very tight-knit team. I think he nailed it. Not a lot of guys leave alpha male. And the reason for that is, I mean, they're just they're just a bunch of good guys that everyone seems to get along, and there's no reason for that. They've really developed something amazing from the ground up in a very short amount of time. For one guy to leave and him also being the champion, it starts to raise questions, and we saw this coming a long time ago. I mean, it turned into this crazy story, and it all came to a head last week, and I can imagine it's going to play out for weeks and months to come. Obviously, a part of this story, as we were just talking about with TJ, is Duane Ludwig. We had Uriah on the show a couple weeks ago, and as I talked about last week, really wanted to have him on this week's show. And as promised, here he is, Duane Bang Ludwig, joining us on the phone right now. Duane, how are you?
No good, Ariel. Thanks for having me on.
I appreciate the time. And again, as I said last week, I apologize for the misunderstanding. I hate that it had to kind of go down like that last week, but always wanted to have you on and talk to you. You know, I have a lot of respect for you, and you've been on the show many times before, so I'm happy that you were able to give us some time here today. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It was just a weird, obviously interview, of course, but something like that in the future, you probably have to have the guy on somewhat soon, or have it in your mind to have him on somewhat soon before some kind of those allegations, I guess, take place. But either way,
yeah, fair enough.
It's your show. Thanks for having me on. And it was good too, because I got to calm down and actually look at this at somewhat of a calm manner. So
yes,
it was better. That I felt they got blown off, Ariel, but it's cool.
And for the record, I did have...
You had your 200 show or something.
300.
I gotcha.
For the record, I did have Mark Ramundi call you before I even left the studio to get your side, but I understand everyone wants to come on the number one podcast. I get that, and this is prime time.
You had the guy.
Yep.
Some quotes from me. But, yeah.
Okay. So
where are we at? I want to talk about the TJ coming out here. It's
yes.
The best thing is for his career. I think he's going to have dedicated coaches in each field. He's going to have a full-on, strength and conditioning coach that's dedicated to TJ. You have Lisa Bowling, who's a phenomenal wrestling coach, who is a great wrestling coach for MMA. That's the difference. Not just a good wrestling coach, but a great wrestling coach for MMA. And same thing with Elliot Marshall. He's a great jiu-jitsu coach for MMA. And it's a world-class, top-notch facility, full-on cage, matted area, equipment room, recovery room, therapists on hand. It's the state of the art. So it's definitely in best interest for TJ. It's super unfortunate that Faber kicked him out. I don't think that's quite supportive or being a friend. I think we should all be working together, especially as martial artists. And for anyone to close the door on somebody else just isn't fair. I don't think that's ethical, but it's his decision. But it's not what's best for TJ or the guys. We should all be working together.
When did you find out that he had made this decision, was going to leave the team in Sacramento and move to Colorado?
I found out the day it was released. I was getting hit up by a whole bunch of people asking me about it. I'm like, what the hell? So I actually didn't know that was happening, but it's definitely the best decision for sure. I would have liked to keep the bridge open for the Alpha guys to come out here and TJ to go back and forth. I think that's the best recipe. We all work together. But, someone's emotions got in the way, and I think it'll work out in the end.
Do you think that if you weren't involved in this scenario, Uriah would have kept the door open, but because of your relationship with Uriah, that's why he closed the door?
I don't know. I reached out to the guy a little bit before all this, he was going on interviews, with you and stuff, so I reached out to him, to figure out what the problem was, and, to handle this kind of behind the closed doors, but what's the case? And I was just like, man, I texted him, I'm not trying to steer fires. I don't know why he's blowing up, because there was a team being formed out here, and I was thinking maybe he thinks I'm trying to steer those guys. So I texted him, look, man, I'm not trying to steer your guys. Let's talk about this. And he wasn't having it. He was a bit emotional about it all, so I just let it wash under the bridge, and he kept doing more interviews, talking crap. So I'm like, man, let the guy just do his thing. And, I'm focused on my martial art academy here, Ludwig Martial Arts. I got my affiliate business. I got my system, and I'm focused on that. And I know I have a limited time and to work with fighters, and I only work with specific guys like TJ, Danny, and just a handful of guys I'm going to work with. So I'm not actually going to be a part of the Elevation Fight team. I'm just going to do my stuff, but they'll send guys to me, and when I have guys that want to fight, and I'll send them to Muscle Farm, to go work with the Elevation Fight team. So, and, so anyway, short story, TJ's going to have dedicated coaches in each field watching after him, and then we'll do our network on the side. I'll probably pop into there on sparring days and help out and make sure I keep an eye on TJ and making sure that I feel we're going in the correct direction. So there's not a team up where I'm coaching the whole fight team. I'm still going to be there for TJ 100%, but I'm not going to be a part of the actual fight team itself.
Are you hoping, or do you know if any other alpha male members are going to follow suit?
I don't know. I wish there was open door policy like Elevation Fight Team has, and I have, and Alpha Male has open door policy to everybody except for the champion, which seems a little bit funny. But and I don't want anyone. I think if it would have been like, okay, if you leave, then you can't come back. If it was one of those scenarios, then I don't know. I wasn't in negotiations when this was all going down, so I'm still kind of figuring pieces out. But in short, this is the best decision for TJ, for any fighter that wants to be at the top of the sport. They have to have dedicated coaches in each field. I mean, why not? And then obviously being, close to me, I'm a half-hour drive away. Like, I'm going to be hands-on with TJ because all the games that are made, not all the games, but a lot of the games that are made for an athlete are between camps. We don't have all the stress and everything that's going on with the fight camp. The games are made between camps. So look how well TJ performed last fight, and that happened with him going back and forth. And now if I'm just staying here and getting games in between the fights, it's only going to be better. I just wish everyone was working together, and that's just what we need to do as martial arts, just work together and not be catty. I think it'll all work out.
When we were setting this up, you told me you wanted to focus on the positive, and I definitely respect that. There's just one question I want to ask you about the Uriah stuff, because I don't need to get into the whole back and forth. To a degree, you've already addressed that.
Silly.
But he did throw out, accusations of sexism and racism. Can you just tell me what's your response to that? I mean, that's a big thing to put on someone.
I have a problem with seeing women get punched in the face.
Yeah.
Like, that's an issue. So, I'm getting more accustomed to that now as I have some female students, and I'm seeing it more. But I just still don't really like it. I don't want to see women get punched in the face. And I'm definitely not freaking racist, that's for sure. I mean, my wife's Mexican. Those are emotional accusations, and I don't even care to bother. I mean, everyone who knows me knows how I am.
Okay.
Hey guys,
You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Tell the students bye-bye.
I just wanted to give you the opportunity to address that if you want.
Yeah, I already addressed those two. I'm the fighter and the kids.
Fair enough.
They reached out to me, which I thought was cool, so that was good. Actually, I had quite a few people not respond to me, and for sure, you can say what you want, but I think for sure it was, a little bit blackballed on my response being so delayed.
Well, what do you mean by that?
I reached out to quite a few people to get a report out, and I got blown off.
Really?
Really.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know if that was a request by somebody or not.
Say it again, sorry?
I don't know if it was a request by somebody or not.
Oh.
But I've never had a problem reaching out to people before until that happened. But
are you?
That's why the whole fight world is just crazy, man. I'm focused on martial arts and stepping back from fighting stuff, but have reserve time for people who are worthy, I guess.
Yeah, well, I certainly hope that you don't feel like that's the case here. But we could go back.
For sure, you blew me off for a little bit, man. Like, for sure, you did that. I know you had your things scheduled and stuff, but next time, you can't have someone come on and come off all those accusations and then not let the other guy talk for 2 weeks. I mean, if someone's going to do that, you have to have a schedule. Okay, I have these weeks scheduled, but for sure I'm about to get them on, just to be fair, and you have to wait 2 weeks. But again, in the end result, it was better that I got to calm down and not make any irrational decisions and comments. And so I say stupid shit all the time.
Fair enough. Well, no, that doesn't bother me. I read our text message conversation on the air, so I wouldn't consider that a blow off. Also, because I was very much upfront with you, and you actually came to me after the whole thing that happened in Chicago, and I said, hey, you said you want to come on the show. I think I've been very open to that. Like I said, the second I left before I left the studio, I had someone call you to get an article out because I said you'd have to wait a whole week.
Yeah, you did. That was cool.
Yeah, so
cool. I appreciate that.
Is that fair? I don't know if it's fair to keep saying I blew you off.
Fair. It's cool. Yeah.
It's not fair to keep saying that, Duane.
Well, it's not fair to have someone on the show and talk a whole bunch of crap and then leave them in the hanging for 2 weeks,
But I understand. You had a chance to tell your side of the story. How many times are we gonna
on air like this? Like, what don't you understand, man? Like, this is my career in business. I'm always accusations coming at me, and then you just blow me off for 2 weeks.
So you really want?
I know. I still feel I was blown off, but I understand your side of the story.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay, so I want to know if you were the one. Did you have anything to do with recruiting TJ over, or was it 100% his decision?
From day one when I started training him, it's one of those things where we are meant to train together, but I'm not telling him to leave Team Alpha Male. I'm not telling him to move here. You know, I think it's the best decision for him, but it's also a good piece of the puzzle is to be able to work with the team also, Team Alpha Male guys. But it's like, you know, every other top 10 athlete in the UFC, like you're going to get good work, and there's a lot of good guys here in Colorado, but just for the camaraderie and commitment with the guys that he already has, it's good to keep that because they all know each other and they all work well together. But I didn't tell him, you know, leave there, come over here. That's not what I told him. My door's always open to the guys to come out here and train. But I'm not telling anybody to leave any team or to join any team. I'm wanting everyone to work together. and the actual lines in the sand saying you got to be here and there, I think that's just BS. We should all be working together as martial artists. From your perspective, how is he handling all of this? We haven't been in contact too much, so I think he's handling it pretty well. But, you know, having, you know, your supposed friend close the door on you so you can't be in here, that's not right. So I don't think he's handling that very well, which I wouldn't handle that very well either. Are you hoping at this point to try to, you know, squash the beef with Uriah, or do you think that ship has sailed? Yeah, like from the beginning, you know, like I started with that. I'm like, well, make sure we're cool. Like I don't care whatever I feel was whatever, you know, I thought I was crying about. Like I'm over that shit, man. I just want to make sure we're all working together. I've been saying that from the start, and he keeps coming out more interviews talking crap. I'm like, man. So just let him do his thing and, you know, let him ride his drama wave. He just wrapped up in drama mode from being punked on the show from Connor so much. Right. I mean, Connor really got in his head, so he's trying to take it out on me, and then it's just overspilling and keeps escalating. It's just time to, you know, pull the brakes on it, man. I think it's not right. Nobody needs this right now. We all need to be working together. I keep saying that. You know, I'll say it time and time again. We all need to be working together. How are things going at the gym these days? My academy's running smooth. You know, I have my martial art academy. I got a bunch of hard-nosed Brazilians working spinning kicks in the back right now. I got 3 jiu-jitsu black belts working spin kicks in the corner of my academy right now. And these guys are insane. They're just all about the martial arts. It's awesome. This is what I love. It's just the development of martial arts. This is fun. And I understand you had someone at Glory this past weekend. Yes, sir. Yeah, Mr. Wells. He's the one who's teaching the Brazilians the back kicks right now. Oh, wow. He's a lifelong martial artist, kickboxing black belt from Shihan Jokuneomia, and it's cool to have the lineage of the arts in one academy. Want to ask you the same question I just asked TJ. Do you wish you could have done anything differently throughout this time with Uriah? Or the team in general? Communication, you know, the team, no. Like, we all kicked ass together, you know. Uriah and I, we had a couple of bumps in the road with our communications. And looking back on it, I would have made sure that what we talked about was on paper was exactly going to come, you know, to reality. And in the end, I'll accept responsibility and say I wasn't as clear as I should have been, I guess. So I'll accept responsibility and say squash it all. Let's all be friends and work together, man. I love the guys. I really love TJ, and I'm going to do whatever he needs to make sure that he's going to perform at his full potential for the time he chooses to commit to fighting. In whatever hindsight, he needs help with, man. I love TJ. Do you wish you never did this job? Like, do you wish you never agreed to it in hindsight? No. I wish I would have made sure our agreements, that what we talked about, what was on paper. No. I wish everything else would have been exactly on paper. I get that, but I'm just saying because it just in hindsight, like this is brought up. I mean, whether we want to admit it or not, it has brought upon a lot of drama, right? I mean, this thing continues to. It has. It's fucking stupid. Do you wish you just never took this job to begin with, and you'd be? No. I 100% glad I took the job. I'm not saying that at all. Okay. Where'd you get that from? No, I'm asking you. Like, if someone says, you know what, don't even ask that, man. Like, I love working with those guys. That's like a drama question, man. Now you want drama for your show. Can you not do that? Like, I 100% have no regrets at all for taking that job. We all kicked ass together. When we worked together, look at the numbers. Like, even their wrestling increased by 151%. The knockouts, everything on that team increased. The only thing that went down is them getting hit or taking down. Those are the only numbers that went down, and those were good numbers to go down. So coaching, my understanding of martial arts drastically rose. I understand martial arts at a level now that I never would have understood if it wasn't for the opportunity. So I do not regret that at all. I am super thankful for the opportunity, and I've said that time and time again. And that's a tremendous answer, but it's one that I can't find out if I don't ask the question. That's all. I'm not trying to get drama. The only thing that I regret is not being as clear as I should have been in our negotiations. That's my own regret. I don't regret anything that they did. I regret some of the way I handled things because I would have been much more clear in our negotiations. How about that? I'll say I f***ed up.
A lesson learned in business, right?
Yes, sir.
We're not all
lesson learned in business. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay. So where do you go from here as far as your relationship with Elevation? Go ahead.
With Elevation, I'll pop in on, sparring days and help TJ and do my thing, and help TJ on the side and do whatever I need to do to make sure TJ's performing at his full potential. Like, that's my commitment. That's why I'm here on this earth, is to teach martial arts and to teach martial arts for those who want to learn, like TJ.
Is there any chance you go there full time since you're so close?
No way.
You're not interested?
Never. Nope, not at all.
Why?
I'm focused on my academy because the fight world, I've given too much of my soul to the fight world. I'm over that. I have limited time, limited hours in the day for the fight world, and those days are going to go to TJ.
But isn't what you're doing the fight world as well? Your gym? You mean
it's martial arts and the fight world are two separate things.
How so? Can you explain that?
And there's combative athletes. So there's a lot more honor, respect, discipline, rather than a bunch of combative athletes that are jumping in the cage to fight each other. People are fighting for different reasons, so I won't put out any allegations of that. But I feel there's a lot of martial artists in the UFC right now that compete and fight, but there's also a lot of non-martial artists in the UFC.
Okay. Do you foresee a time where
you're as ethical? They aren't as ethical and just honest.
Do you foresee a time where you're completely done with that side of things and you just stay in the martial arts world?
That's interesting.
So you like that question?
Because,
that's good.
Yeah, I like that question because, it all is martial arts, but I'm going to work with people who are martial artists, and that's what I'm best at, is teaching high-level athletes, right? But that's not necessarily what makes me the happiest. So I'm still figuring out life as we all are. Things change on a daily basis. Don't you agree, Ariel?
100%. Would you say that TJ is more of a martial artist at this point than some of the...
He is, 100%. Okay. 100% turning into a martial artist more and more each day.
Oh, into...
I'm working on it. I'm working on it as well. Yeah, it's not just one day you're martial arts, one day you're not, or there's different levels as well, right?
Or you could start on this side of the fence and move over to that side of the fence.
100%.
Wow.
And vice versa.
Right. Do you see that being the case with Faber?
He came up from, he's been doing commercials since he was 8 years old, so he's been programmed to say what he needs to say when the camera comes on or when a mic gets put in his face. Since he was 8, he's been doing commercials, and he's very good at that, and because of that opportunity that he gave me, helped me get where I'm at today, so I'm very thankful for that. Mm-hmm. But, he's been programmed since a child to say what he needs to say on the camera, and he came up doing wrestling and business world, so he's very cunning and manipulative. I can't even friggin' say it. He can manipulate stories pretty well to paint the picture that he needs to paint. One thing that he didn't mention out, that when I was hustling all my privates and my sponsors and doing what I needed to do, I was directly sponsoring his athletes that his management company was actually handling. I was putting money out of my pocket into their pocket directly, doing the job that his management company should have been doing. But that doesn't get brought up.
Last thing, I think what sparked his appearance, or I guess his answers on this show, was when you said to FoxSports.com, "I apologize for anything," like kind of throwing out this blanket apology.
Whatever he thinks I did wrong, I'm sorry. I mean, I'm just trying to be cool and help each other out and make sure we're all growing.
Could you see why that would rub someone the wrong way?
No, whatever you think I did wrong, I'm sorry. No.
Okay. But did you understand why some people wouldn't like that, as opposed to just being like, I apologize for this specific thing, as opposed to this blanket apology, because it may seem like...
Well, I wasn't quite sure what he felt I did wrong, and then he's like changing all these stories and manipulating them and putting them in this bad kind of, trying to paint a bad picture of me with that. But it worked out for me at the end, because everyone who knows me stepped up and did their interviews and their posts, and I'm not a freaking bad guy. I'm here to help people, just people. It's unfortunate the way he perceived the events. It's crazy to me. But, we all see things differently.
Fair enough. Is there anything else that you'd like to clear up on this particular show?
I was thankful for that opportunity to work with those level of athletes. Just like anyone in the UFC at the top 10, they're world-class athletes. And, it was a fun time. That 2 years of my life was, expedited the martial arts evolution, and I'm very thankful to be a part of that. And I got to thank GLC 2000, a supplement company that's always been sponsoring me on it. Boss Rutan, you're the man. I appreciate you, Sensei Rutan. And, the team's been awesome. And TJ, man, I love you, buddy.
And you'll be seeing him soon. He's going out there today.
Yes, sir.
All
Yeah,
right.
He's doing what he needs to do, man. He's going to have dedicated coaching staff to help him reach his full potential.
All the best, Duane. Thank you. I'm happy
Ariel, thank you, sir.
we got to clear the air, I think, to a degree. Hopefully no hard feelings on the show today.
That's good. Thank you, buddy.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
A not so reassuring response there. Not quite sure where the hostility comes from, but look, as I said on the show last week, it goes on Fox Sports, puts out the apology. That pisses off Faber, comes on this show. I get my man Mark before I even leave the studio to reply and to get his reply. And in my mind, okay, I tell you in 2 weeks we're going to have you on because we have our next 2 shows booked. How many times are we going to go back and forth? Sometimes, like I said, I get accused of going back and forth too much. This time I try to exercise better judgment, and look what happened. So hopefully no hard feelings there. A story that if anyone thinks is going away anytime soon, I think you're sorely mistaken. This will evolve into something bigger. That's my prediction. I'm not going out on a limb. Perhaps somewhat unfortunately, it will evolve into something bigger. We'll see where it goes. And if eventually they will fight, because as you can see, there is a lot of animosity. There's a lot of animosity building there. I guess I should take it as a compliment. Wanted to come on this show so badly. Respect. All right, let's move along. Let's go to our next guest. Johny Hendricks is standing by. Johnny, how are you?
Doing great, you?
I'm doing very well. I want to know right off the top, just physically, it's been a little over a week, a very traumatic event. You had to go to the hospital. We'll get into the details, but physically, how are you feeling after what transpired right before UFC 192?
I'm feeling a lot better. My body's actually starting to respond to everything that I'm doing, so I can't complain on that. I'm actually able to start running, doing some physical activity without, tiring out or having to sit down for long periods of time. It was weird.
So this is the first time we're hearing from you. Can you tell us from your perspective, your words, what exactly happened before 192?
Well, everything was doing good. I was drinking, it was weird. Let's say I was drinking 2.5 gallons a day. I was walking around right around 193, which is normal. And then my body just quit. I quit going to the bathroom. It's sort of like my body was holding on to everything, which is sort of weird. And then we started doing the weight cut, which I was still drinking 2.5 gallons a day. And then all of a sudden, I just hit a plateau where I would feel like I'm just, you're getting lightheaded, which is common, whenever you cut weight, which is common. So I wouldn't think anything of it. And then all of a sudden, I woke up on Thursday feeling good, feeling really good. I was 184. I was like, this is going to be perfect. Lose 10 pounds, wake up on Friday and have to lose an extra 3. That's going to work out great. Went and sort of did my first session. And in an hour, I only lost 2 pounds. I was like, oh boy. And then that's whenever my body sort of started feeling different. And then I tried to push through it, did another session trying to work out. And that's whenever I was like, okay, something's definitely wrong. And didn't know what it was. I just knew something was wrong. Both of my left and right side started to hurt at that point, and went to the hospital. And that's when I found out that my intestines were dried up, and I had a kidney stone on my right side.
And right then and there, were you told you will not be able to fight?
Pretty much, yes. They said that you might be able to continue, but he said most likely you're not going to be able to lose any more weight.
How much did you weigh at that point?
I weighed 180.
Okay.
That's what was weird, is that, and this is what's even more weird than anything, is that even my bad weight cuts, right around 173, that's where my body would, if that's where I really had to push. from 173 to 170, definitely for the title fight.
Yeah.
That's where I had to push. So I was like, so being that heavy, like something being wrong and my body just sort of wouldn't sweat. I was like, okay, something physically is wrong with my body. And so that's whenever I went to the hospital, and that's whenever they said, you're depleted. The way that, of course they can't speculate, but, I might have been able to lose an extra pound or two, but how bad does that hurt my body? There's a part of me that's sort of grateful that I didn't continue, because it took me a week, it's taken me a week to get over what happened.
By the way, did you pass the kidney stone?
No, I have not passed that yet. I've been drinking 2 gallons of water a day. We have a doctor's appointment on the 18th or 19th to go either get it dealt with or to have them help me push it.
Are you in a lot? I've had a kidney stone, so I definitely feel for you, my friend. I'm just wondering if you're in a lot of pain, because it was incredibly painful for me, but you're a much stronger man and tougher man than I am.
Well, you know what it is that it just feels like somebody's just poking you with a knife in your right side.
Right.
I get used to, I've been through so many training camps where, you've broken hands, broken noses, or whatever it might be, where you sort of just deal with the pain and you try to avoid hitting that spot, if that makes sense. So, like, I've been sleeping a lot on my left side, trying to do everything I can to sort of keep the pressure off that side so it you don't feel the pain as bad.
What was your reaction when you had to come to terms with the fact that you weren't going to fight in this big fight in your home state now, where, there was a lot of buildup, a lot of, buzz for this fight, a potential title shot on the line? Like, how did you deal with all of that?
Whenever you're sitting there and you're in that situation, at first I'm sitting here thinking, my health, if that makes sense. My body was hurting to a point where, like I said, I've heard of many fights and I've always pushed through it, but that one was different. You're sitting here going, okay, a lot of this built up, and what people don't understand too is that I just threw away 3 months of training. You know what I mean? Like, that's what sucks more than anything, because the light at the end of the tunnel is my fight. That's what I enjoy. That's what I want to do. Some people, they might not like the end result, but that's my pleasure. That's what gets me through the weight cut and the 3 months of training, is that right there. So that sucks. But I also know that you have to take a step back and sit here and say, okay, I'm how is my body going to handle it? Because, let's say something crazy, I lose that weight, I make it. One body shot doesn't bring me down. And now you're sitting here going, okay, well, now a body shot brings me down. Then people are going to say, well, okay, Johnny's body's weak, for one. 2, now instead of being 2 fights away, like right now I might be 2 fights away or 1 fight away still. I might have to do 3 fights to get back to where I want to be. And those are all the things that are going through your head. And whenever you're in that situation, you want to fight. And I want to fight in front of my fans, in front of Texas, and do all those things. That's what sucks more than anything, is that you work so hard to showcase what you have. And all of a sudden, the diet that we were on backfires, which sucks. But I've learned, after this, we did a lot of research, and I was eating a lot of deer meat and a lot of high-protein animal protein, which that's a leading cause of kidney stones and your intestines failing. Had no idea because I usually eat a lot of fish and a lot of chicken. So I was like, I wanted to eat more protein, a lot of cleaner protein, and we focused more on that, and it ended up backfiring. And I think that if I would have eaten more chicken and salmon, I wouldn't have been in this situation.
Last week on this show, your former nutritionist, Mike Dolce, said that there was a comedy of errors based on what he was told leading up to your weight cut, the final days. Is that a fair way to assess this particular weight cut?
No, I you know what it was? I think what it was is there's a lot of signs that were telling me that I needed to change up my diet. Okay, and it wasn't my weight. My weight, like I said, I hit 189 3 weeks out of the fight. That's the first time, and I have proof. One of my coaches was sitting there because they were all worried. They're like, oh, we don't know where your weight's at. They're sort of giving me my space. I was like, hey, let's hit 189 then. I can do that. I was walking in at 193, hit 189, and then that's whenever everything sort of started to fall apart. I play tennis. I know that sounds weird, but I play tennis. And, and even my coach, he was like, we didn't think anything of it at the time. But now looking back, I understand because he coached me Monday and Thursdays. And every Monday and Thursday, I would only be able to do like a 10 or 20-minute workout with him, and then I'd have to take a break. After doing research, I find out that the way I did the high protein was absorbing all my water, so therefore it was hurting me in the long run. Which again, you're drinking a lot of water, but your muscles hold on to it instead of letting it go because your body is. I don't know the scientific terms of it, but it hurts you in the long run.
The amount of venom spewed your way in the 24-hour stretch between this news coming out and 192 was pretty intense. Do you read any of that stuff? Does it make it worse, or do you ignore it?
No, I don't read it because here's the thing. I know there's going to be venom spit my way. Yeah, here's the thing. People don't understand, and, again, people don't understand is that, they don't get to watch one fight, right? Well, I don't get paid, okay? And I also did, like I said, I had to give up 3 months of training camp that I worked very hard, and I was very prepared to fight Woodley. You know what I'm saying? And then the next fight, let's say in probably March, April, I would be fighting for the title. These people that are spitting venom, they don't look at that. They only look at what's in front of them at that moment. Yeah, and what I say to them is, come and try to lose 20 pounds. Don't, I have to lose 30 pounds each training camp, okay? I say, come with me and let's lose 20. And I'll give you a week to lose 20. And how many people can actually say that they've lost 20 pounds in 1 week? Now, I do know that this is my job, and that's what makes me different than everything else, different than everybody else, should I say. But I also know that, whenever I tried it, I tried to use a dietitianist or a nutritionist, whatever it might be, and I learned a lot of great things. And whenever I did it for the Matt Browne fight, I made 170. That was the easiest weight cut I have ever had.
Yeah.
Considering you make 170, it always sucks, but that was the easiest one I've ever had. So I was like, okay, let's build off of that. I'm always about building. I don't like staying the same, which on the diet aspect, I should have stayed the same. I should have changed a couple other things, but on the diet, eating eggs in the morning, I still did that. I should have done chicken, salmon, and what I've learned is now, instead of eating venison maybe twice or 3 times a day, cut it down to once every 3 days. try to stay away from the animal protein of venison because it's so high in protein. And that's it's a learning curve. It sucks that I had to learn this way. I wish I still had a nutritionist, but it's just one of those things that sometimes you got to learn the hard way. And like I said, going from the Matt Browne fight to this one, I was like, dude, this is going to be awesome. Another easy weight cut. I was getting my weight down the way I wanted to. I felt strong. I felt big. I was drinking plenty of fluids. I was like, this is going to be cakewalk. And in return, the time that I'm the most confident is whenever it goes the worst.
So after the fight, Dana White said that he now considers you a middleweight. What's your response to that?
Hey, there's a part of me that likes that because I wouldn't have to make 170 again, right? But for me as a competitor, that's a lot harder road, right? And one day I would like to venture out on that road, but at this time, I still want to consider myself a welterweight, welterweight, 170 pounder, because there's so much more I can do. There's so much better I can be, and that's what I really want to focus on right now. Sort of lay off the weights, lay off of everything, just sort of get my body back to where it was sort of for the Matt Browne fight, where it's an easy walk around. Right now I'm walking around. I've been waking up at 197. I'm going to stay right around there, maybe a little bit lower in the next week. Now that I can actually start running and doing some exercise, that's what I'm going to start focusing on and trying to get back to where I'm right around 195. That's where I was, 195 to 198, where I was for the Matt Browne fight. And that's sort of what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a mini weight cut here at the end of this month, hit 180. And if I hit 180 and everything's doing great, then that's whenever, I talk to Dana and Lorenzo, and that's when I'm going to call and say, hey, let's book a fight because I want to get back in there. I want to train. I want to fight. And I just want to make sure that it's going to be healthy on my body. And if let's say I hit 180 and I go through the same thing, well, then I understand, okay, now I got to sit here and go, okay, is my body sort of tired of making 170? That I don't know just yet until I do this mini weight cut and see how my body reacts. And hopefully it reacts good because then I can continue my welterweight sort of run.
Have you talked to those guys, Dana and Lorenzo in particular? Because, they said this recently about Kelvin Gastelum and John Lineker, and they had to fight a weight class up. Do you know if they're even going to entertain the idea of you fighting at 170 in the near future?
I have talked to them. And like I told you, a lot of it depends on this mini weight cut.
Okay.
At the end of this.
So they're allowing you to do that. They're okay with that plan.
I hope so. I talked to them. I don't know if they're 100% keen on it.
Okay.
I know they'd like me to fight, in which I would like to fight too, but I want to make sure that I make the smartest decision in this moment, if that makes sense. I believe that, like I said, I think I could do good at 185 pounds, but what am I going to do better at? What am I going to be better at? Guys, I'm only giving up like 2 to 3 inches, and in some cases you might be giving up 6 or giving up 6 inches every fight of reach. And that's the thing, is that's all I want to make sure that I at this point, I've struggled, but I've also made it easy, and that's the downfall, is that I made it so easy for the Matt Browne fight. And going off that, that's exactly how I'm going to start running my camps, is exactly how I did that fight. The way I did the chicken and the salmon and alternated with them and all this other stuff. There's a lot of things I tried to improve on this weight cut, and it failed.
Last question, and it's a two-parter. Appreciate the time and candor greatly. Are you interested in reconnecting with a Mike Dolce, and if not him, maybe someone like a George Lockhart, who Daniel Cormier was glowing about, after and before his fight? And if you do fight at 170 next and all goes well, do you want the Woodley fight to finally put that one to bed?
You know what? Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing the Woodley fight. I think I was ready for this fight, and I needed. And again, that's what sucks, is that I thought that this was going to be a good fight for me, and I was going to be able to move forward from this. Instead, now it's hindering me, and it's one of those things that. And another dietitianist, if we could rekindle, hey, that'd be fine. It's just one of those things that now, like I said, now knowing what I know, it's only going to make my life easier and whoever I bring in with me.
But you're open to that.
If that makes sense.
You're opening to bringing someone?
Oh, yeah. Hey, I'm always, here's the thing. I'm always open for it because I don't know everything, obviously. I thought I improved on that, but I failed, and it's because of my miscalculations. But I want to get back to being the best where I don't have to, I don't like worrying about the weight cut. And when you do it yourself, like I said, this one I wasn't worried about, and it backfired huge on me. I want to get back to where I don't have to worry about it. And if that's where staying at 195, eating cleaner, 95% of the time, all the time, then that's what I'm willing to sacrifice to do what I need to do.
Again, Johny, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it. Happy to hear that you are feeling better. Good luck with that kidney stone. I know how tricky it can be. I'm sure it will pass quite easily. And, of course, looking forward to seeing you back in there sooner rather than later. Was really looking forward to that fight, as was everyone. So just happy to hear that you're healthy and okay, and hope everything works out from here on out.
Well, thank you so much, and you have a wonderful day, okay?
Same to you. There he is, Johny Hendricks, the former UFC welterweight champion. Wish him the best. And owning up to his mistakes, we'll see where he goes from here. All right, let's move along. Let's welcome in our next guest. The train continues to roll along. We now welcome in Big Hoppa, Travis Browne. Of course, he meets Matt Mitrione in January. A lot to talk to him about. He's on the phone right now waiting for us. Travis, how are you?
What's up, Ariel? How you doing, man?
Great to talk to you, my friend. Great to have you on the show. Thank you very much for the time. So like I said, you have a big fight coming up, a lot to talk to you about, but I want to kind of move in a chronological order here, Travis, because I do believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is your first interview in quite some time. So there's a few things that, I'd just like to address, if that's okay with you. Of course, everyone knows back in July 8th to be exact, you were accused by your wife of domestic violence, and then you were suspended indefinitely. You have since been, released of that suspension. The suspension is no more. Of course, as I said, you're fighting Matt Mitrione in January. This is your first interview since, like I said. I wanted to get your reaction to that because we really don't know how you've been dealing with that, and of course, how you've dealt with the news once it came out. What would you like to say about this accusation?
First, it's just an unfortunate situation. And the thing about it is it really showed me the support from the people that I need to have in my life. And it helped me get rid of like fakes and frauds, people that are around me that, would turn on me in a second for false allegations, and false accusations. I think people have the wrong idea about the investigation that the UFC put on. A lot of people feel like it was an investigation to clear me, which that is the farthest thing from the truth. The whole point of that investigation was to find the truth, and that's exactly why they hired Campbell & Campbell, and then Campbell & Campbell hired an ex-FBI agent that was in the field for 25 years doing this kind of stuff constantly. And, they came out and I had them sitting at my dinner table. I handed over all my information, my phone. I talked with the guys, and that's way more than anything that I would ever have to do legally, but I was willing to because I know what was said was false and was a lie. So, the results of the investigation, the fact that I was cleared, reinstated by the UFC, says enough. I don't want to go into details. I hold my dignity. There's more value to my dignity than to lower myself to talk about somebody that really doesn't have any relevance in my life anymore. And knowing some of the history, some of the, her and I were, we talked to a counselor for over a year together, knowing her health history and knowing, being a part of the counseling, who was a psychologist. I mean, the things that I would love to feel angry. I'd love to feel betrayed, but I can't because she has to deal with these situations on a daily basis. And, again, I'm not going to go into, I'm not going to go to the public forum and talk ill about somebody when there's no reason for it. What's it going to do? If I were to throw stones at every dog that barked at me, I would never get to where I'm going, to wherever I'm headed. And so, that's why I kept quiet during this whole situation, is I let it play out. I didn't want to get involved. I didn't want to get in the way of anything, of any investigation. Anything they asked me for, I complied with, and I gave it to them, and I gave them more than what they asked for. And so it's just, it's an unfortunate situation, but it's been handled. And I have a fight coming up January 17th. So, the results speak for themselves.
Just a couple more follow-ups, and for the record, I think it's important to ask, and appreciate again you coming on to answer them. Have you ever been physical towards your and by the way, is your ex-wife now? Have you separated? I'm not quite sure where you stand.
Yeah, we were separated the week after my last fight. I had to go on some PR tours, and she took off to go back to Florida or hang out with the friends or something, and we just never got back together. I mean, there was obvious animosity before any of that started. I think anybody that knows that's been, that's had an end of a relationship, it doesn't just happen overnight, and then one day you guys are just apart. It's been something that's been happening over a period of time. But no, have I ever gotten physical towards her? No, absolutely not. Like I said, there's situations surrounding, or there's conditions surrounding all of this that, that's up to her and her family to deal with. I'm back to fighting again. The results speak for themselves.
When this came out in early July, and your ex-wife posted these photos, I mean, they're pretty jarring to look at. Did you reach, and you're saying you were never a part of any of this, you never laid a hand on her. Did you reach out to her and say, okay, we're in a bad spot, whatever, we're separating. Where's this coming from? Why are you doing this? What are these photos all about? What's going on here? Did you try to nip this in the bud as quickly as possible?
The only thing that I said, Jenna, I'm getting text messages from people saying that you had posted something, and she said something like "fuck off," and and then from then on out, after that, my cousin had sent me the post, and after that, I just have not had any communication with her whatsoever. She's tried to reach out a couple of times over some stuff she left at the house, or I don't know, I forget what the other one was, but again, I don't have any communication with her. We're obviously, since divorce, all the paperwork is done and turned in and signed, and it's been a process that we're talking about it now here in October, but it's something that I took care of back in July, August, whatever, or June, July, August, and I've already moved on with my life. I'm continuing to progress as an MMA fighter, as a father, and that's what I took this summer to do, is to really focus on my kids and on my career, and let the investigation work itself out.
you didn't respond. I would look at your Instagram. I would see hashtags, little messages here or there, but you didn't do any interviews or anything like that. And domestic violence is obviously a very serious accusation. It's a very serious label to put on someone. How difficult was it to not respond, and B, to see, because I would look also at your Twitter and your Instagram to see what people are saying to you, and people were saying some pretty nasty comments. How difficult was it to look at all of that?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's tough. You know, people are gonna be sitting by their computers waiting for something so that they can chime in on. Was it hard to respond to those people, those kind of keyboard warriors, these guys that, you know, they think they're all tough and this and that? But again, you know, Errol, I already said it. I said it once already, and I'll keep saying it. If I threw rocks at every dog that barked, I would not get to where I'm going. You know what I mean? That's part of being in the public eye. Unfortunately, not everybody understands that. You know, so some of these people that want to say demeaning things, either things towards me and my kids and this and that. And, you know, again, if people were to ask questions, not necessarily to me, but they would quickly understand that the story just doesn't hold water. I mean, to have a feeling like, you know, I just want to make awareness of this, but I don't want somebody's career or children affected. Man, I'll tell you what, I'm a lot of things. I can be an asshole, right? I can be mean, but putting my hands on a woman is absolutely not in me. That goes everything against my DNA as a human being. And anybody that, you know, the general public may not have an understanding about me and what I do, how I feel about my children, how I feel about my family, how protective I am over, you know, my family and children. You know, and they just see a big guy in a cage that fights, that, you know, knocks people out or this or that. You know, it's unfortunate, but we live in a society that doesn't educate themselves. You know, they don't even click on the heading that they're reading. They just take the heading or what am I trying to say? Like the
headline.
The headline. They take the headline, they don't even click on it, and then they come up with their own understanding of the story. You know, there was some kind of research done. I think it might have been like New York Times, or I don't know, some big publication where they put out over their media source like a headline like, you know, this generation doesn't read enough or something like that. And when you click on it, what it had was like, this is actually a test just to see if people will actually click on the thing or not before commenting. Well, people had comments like, oh, I read and da-da-da, this and that, and, you know, just comments after comments, thousands of comments and all this kind of stuff off people that didn't even click on the headline. You know, and so for people to not educate themselves on the situation and then come up with their own conclusion is sad. And unfortunately, that's what social media provides for a lot of these people that are too lazy to go out there and find their own answers to educate themselves.
After the suspension was lifted, your ex-wife Jenna posted that she is going to press charges after all. Is that still to come here, or is there an update on that situation?
That never happened. I don't feel like it's going to. And again, it just confirms why I kept quiet. You know, I would have a hashtag. I had a hashtag for a lot of my posts where it's just like, you know, confidence is silent, insecurities are loud. Because I don't feel the need to come out and say anything. I'm sitting there taking care of my children, you know. My kids are asking me questions about it. You know, their friends are bringing it up to them. You want to talk about bringing it up in a way that's not going to affect my family or my career. It was handled the exact opposite way, you know. And for her and for there not to be charges pressed, it just kind of shows the motives that went behind it all. And again, that comes from having a knowledge of the history of her history of over the last 3 years, over, you know, knowing from what she's told me over the last, you know, over her lifetime and seeing patterns and seeing this and that. Speaking with a psychologist for over a year about her and I, it was just one of those things where, man, I would love to be angry. Again, I would love to be angry and be resentful and this and that. But I can't. I can't. In all honesty, I can't, because there are situations I have to deal with on a daily basis. But the one thing that I am at this point is indifferent. And I know you can't even really call that a feeling, because that's kind of the definition is the absence of feeling. That's indifference. And so, it's just I've been moving on with my life over the summer. I've been, focusing on something else. I had a hunt this last summer. I have a fight coming up in January, and that's what I've been handling. That's what I've been putting my efforts towards, or my kids and my career.
A byproduct of this story coming out has been other stories that you are dating Ronda Rousey. What do you want to say about this?
I remember when I used to date, like back in high school, and when you'd be cool, have a boyfriend or a girlfriend or this or that. Man, dating is for children. You know what I mean? Dating's for kids. Over the summer, through all the shit that I kind of had to shuffle through, that to sift through. Ronda and I started talking throughout the summer, and I would say now that we are together. She's my woman and I'm her man. So there's no boyfriend girlfriend stuff. There's no dating. We're together. Well,
congratulations on that. She, you don't need me to tell you this in case you didn't hear, is a megastar. What is that like for you? That must be an interesting experience, right? I mean, she's one of the most famous athletes in the world.
Yeah, and it's really funny because we've been training out of the same gym for over a year now, and not once did we ever, we talked about it after we started talking, and it was just like, not once did we ever think about this, you know what I mean? It wasn't even a thought that went through our heads at all. And so I've gotten to know her through the gym, through, just all that kind of stuff. So I see her for who she is. The fact that she's out there winning ESPYs and, like you said, the star that she is, like on the movie screens and all that kind of stuff. I mean, that's all great, but that's not who I know her as. If that makes sense. Like, I know her as one of the hardest working athletes that I've ever seen in this gym, busting her butt on a daily basis. And through our own personal experiences of how compassionate and really how much of a sweetheart she really is. And that's what a lot of people don't see out of her. They see that, but they don't really get to experience that. But yeah, I mean, she's a huge star, and that's great for her, and I'm happy for her, and I want nothing to do but to support that aspect in her life.
Last question on this: Is it a new situation for you? Is it different? Is it something you're getting used to, where you're both in the same gym? And I've never actually been there, but just from pictures and video, I don't think it's like the biggest gym in the world. It's not the smallest, but you're still in the same location, and you're both preparing for a fight, and you're both super focused and everything. Is that something that you have to get used to? Because I mean, I can't imagine working right next to my wife. I think we would get pretty intense towards each other. You know what I'm getting at, right?
Yeah, not at all. And,
okay.
And that's what I mean. That's why it's it's not weird. It's not something we have to adjust to, because we've been doing that the entire time that I was here. I mean, she was doing her camps, I was doing mine. Without that thought process going through our head, and we're both, when we're in the gym. I mean, one of my mentality in the gym is that I'm here. I've dedicated however long, say 2 hours of my morning to being in the gym and busting my butt. There isn't a single damn thing, unless it has to do with a family member, like on their deathbed or something like that, that is going to distract me from those 2 hours and being focused in that gym. When my coach talks, I listen. When he's working with somebody else, I'm watching. And the same goes for her. And she's actually been a great example of that. Of just being ultra focused and borderline obsessed with training. And it's not weird at all. Like I said, We didn't start off, say, you know, interested in each other, and then now we have to work together. It's like we were working together when we were just acquaintances, and next to each other in gym, not a problem, you know. And now it's the same thing. We're together now, and you know, we're both able to put that aside for the time being and focus at the task at hand.
So you got your next fight. It's Matt Mitrione. I remember talking to your manager, John Fosco, about this, and the way he put it was like, you know, we'd love to punch Matt Mitrione in the face. Much respect, but that's a fight that we like. And I was like, are you speaking for yourself or Travis? He's like, I'm kind of speaking for both of us here. Why is this something that you wanted?
Well, you know, I mean, ever since my last fight, or his last fight, I think, which was in June, I mean, he took to Twitter right away and just started, you know, trying to call me out, trying to be respectful about it, and just not letting off the gas pedal. And you know, it's one of those things where, man, I was going through a lot of stuff at the time. You know, I didn't respond at all because, again, you know, I'm dealing with a different situation. Mm-hmm. So, you know, at this point, it looks like he's my next opponent, and you know, I'm not one to ever try to choose fights. You know, when Joe Call said, "Hey, I have this guy on this date," it's like, Joe, let's do it. Whatever you feel is best. You know, I feel like I have the champion's mindset, and that I'm gonna fight everybody someday, anyways. When I'm holding that strap, that it doesn't matter when or where. You know, you get me there and tell me I'm fighting this guy on this day, and I'm going to go out there and whoop some ass.
Have you watched the Arlovsky fight a lot? I mean, that will go down as one of the greatest rounds in UFC history, period. Have you watched it a lot? And do you have any idea now, around 5 months later, why you couldn't finish him? You had him, and he had you. It was back and forth. It was mind-blowing to actually witness that in person. But have you figured out why you couldn't actually finish him?
Well, Ariel, I tried my damnedest.
I know you did.
So you know, I haven't actually watched that fight yet. I've seen clips of it.
Oh, wow.
From people post on the internet, and I honestly refuse to watch that fight. And the reason why is I'm so disappointed in my performance in that fight that I refuse to watch it. I know the mistake that I made. I know that, you know, Andre did a great job and capitalized on my mistake, and you know, he won that fight. And, you know, we're in the gym now every single day just about fixing that problem, growing as an athlete, you know, and continuing, getting out there and continuing my success. You know, a lot of people, they don't realize that I was I chose to be a part of the UFC 1 year into my MMA career, which is about 18 months into doing any kind of martial arts. I signed with the UFC and have been on the biggest stage in front of the most people for 5 years out of my 6-year career so far. And so at this point, I'm trying to not make amateur mistakes like I did in that fight. You know, I made a mistake, and again, he did a great job capitalizing on it, and he won the fight.
What's the mistake, by the way?
Just in my stance, my footwork, and how I threw a punch. You know, is where I made the mistake. Okay. And then not being in the sport for long enough to know when to, you know, gather myself again, or to, you know, get on my instincts and just fight back, sit down, you know, bite down hard, and, you know, just start swinging. And that's what I did, which, you know, that's born and bred in me. You know, I'm not running from anybody. And, you know, that's part of what makes me an exciting fighter.
In hindsight, was it tough that moment afterwards where you guys embraced and he said sorry and you said don't ever apologize? It was beautiful. It actually got me a little bit emotional. It just kind of encompassed why I love this sport so much. You can go through that and then have that moment. But in hindsight, was it just really tough to fight a friend?
No.
It wasn't? Okay.
No.
All right.
No, not at all. And that's the thing. That's what, you know, some of these guys are like, man, you know, it's like, you know, this and that and whatsoever. It's like, to me, it's like, man, I have a goal in my life. You know, Andre to me is still a good friend of mine. I still care about the guy. You know, I've had love for him and his family for a long time now, and it hasn't stopped. It didn't stop that night, you know. And if I would have won, it wouldn't have stopped. And now that I lost, it hasn't stopped. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing is, like, man, this is what we do for a living. These guys need to start realizing that it's not about, you know, it's not about personal feelings or egos or this or that. You know, I know Andre is a good man, and I know why he does this sport. I know that he does it to provide for his family, to be the best athlete that he can be. And you cannot, like, all you have to do is respect that from him. So I respect him as a man. I respect him as a fighter, you know, and for him to come out and put on the show that he did, you know, was good for him. And on my side of it, I will say that it was very disappointing in the fight that I put on, the performance that I put on. You know, I showed heart, I showed this and that, but I didn't show what I'm made of. I didn't show what I'm capable of. And you know, that's where I stand with it. And I mean, congratulations to him. People always say that was the greatest round, you know, one of the greatest rounds and stuff. And I tell them that they're full of shit because it wasn't one of my greatest rounds. If you want to see one of my greatest rounds, you know, keep watching my fights, and I'm gonna, you know, I'm putting it together, and it's gonna be a good time.
Well, you wouldn't be the first person today to say that I'm full of shit, so I take that back. It was not the greatest round. I look forward to better rounds from you, to victorious rounds from you, to greater performances. Anything in
good sport, Ariel. Good sport.
In closing, and by the way, don't forget, I saw that you called me out on the basketball court. I have not forgotten this. So if you think that, you know, this is just something that will slide under the rug, it's not happening. I don't care how tall you are. I don't care your background. I will take you down, my friend.
Don't tempt me with a good time. You can put me on a team with anybody. First of all, I don't think I called you out. I think somebody called me out.
Yes, I think it was John Anik.
Yeah, so John Anik called me out, and then knowing mine and I think John even brought you into it, did he not?
He may have. I think he got a little bit afraid.
I think so too. But then I think he's, you know, he was talking about Ben Henderson and me and this and that. And man, you know, like I just told you, my instincts tell me not to run from a fight. So I'm ready. I'm ready when you guys are. You know, don't tempt me with a good time. You can give me any teammate you want, no matter, you know, size, shape. It doesn't matter. I will. You know, I think John will be asking to switch on defense here after a little bit once I put it on him.
Well, first things
Ariel,
first.
You're going to have to end up covering me. You're going to have to cover me. And, you know,
bring it, baby.
Just saying, that's a tough task.
All right, fair enough. Before I let you go, and again, thank you so much for the time. Is there anything you'd like to add to what we talked about? I know this was, it was a very trying few months for you, and you kept your quiet and everything. But now that you're talking here, is there anything that I didn't ask you that you'd like to address or add before we say goodbye?
No, man. You know, the thing about it is, you know, I'm moving onward and upward, and you know, it was a bump in the road, and it's a very unfortunate situation. But you know, the truth has come to light, and you know, it's you know, in a sense, the truth will set you free. You know what I mean? Even though it's in the court of public opinion, which, you know, again, people are just headline hunting, and instead of doing their own, you know, educating themselves, and that's just where we're at. But, you know, Ariel, I just wanted to appreciate you, you know, tell you that I appreciate you and taking the time to talk with me and you know, get me on here and you know, continuing our relationship and looking forward to our basketball game endeavor.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Travis. I truly appreciate you coming on. I wish you the best. Looking forward to this fight, January 17th. What a great card. That will be in Boston on FS1. Dominic Cruz versus TJ Dillashaw. Great heavyweight fight added to it. Mitrione, Browne. That should be a lot of fun. Good luck in training, and we'll talk to you very soon, my man.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
There he is, Travis Browne, stopping by. Interesting stuff from him. We Like I said, appreciate his time greatly. All right, let's move along. Let's go to the Skype machine. Let's talk to the talk of the MMA world. There he is, a man who now needs no introduction. Perhaps 2 weeks ago, you had no idea who this man was. Now he is a megastar. He is Super Sage Northcutt, just 19 years young. And this kitchen, by the way, has become somewhat famous because I see you do all your interviews from there, Sage.
Yes, sir. It has good lighting.
It's beautiful, by the way. But do you still live with your parents?
Am I what?
Do you still live with your folks?
Yes, sir.
That's gonna end very soon. Now that you're this MMA megastar, right?
Thank you. I guess we'll see.
Okay, well,
you're very nice.
Thank you for the time. I want to ask you something right off the bat that I wasn't planning on starting the interview with, but it's somewhat new news, if you will. A veteran journalist by the name of Showdown, Joe Ferraro, reported a couple days ago that you're going to go train at TriStar now. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir. That's true. I leave tomorrow morning, actually, to go to Canada.
Wow. Now, are you going to move there, or what are you going to come back and forth? What are you doing in Montreal?
Well, really, I'm just going up there to check it out and see how it goes and see if it's fit for me. But like my jiu-jitsu coaches right now, Chris Mango and Ted Stickle, Gracie Baja and Katie, they're awesome. But also have school too, so I can't actually go up there and live there. But I'll get to go up there for about a week or so and check it out and see how it goes.
Well, you know, I'm from Montreal, so I could give you the tips. It's one of the greatest cities, if not the greatest city in the world, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's going to be awesome.
Did they recruit you, or did you reach out to them? How did this come about?
Well, actually, they said that they mentioned something that they've heard about my fights, and obviously I always talk about how George St. Pierre is my favorite fighter.
Oh, wow.
And I look up to him, so I think it's just like perfect timing that I get to go down there and get to train with them and get to meet them, and it's going to be incredible.
Have you ever met George?
No, I haven't.
Oh, my Lord.
No, sir, but I'm looking forward to it.
Are you nervous? How are you feeling before this big meeting?
Oh, no way. I'm not nervous. I'm pumped up. I'm super excited.
Now, he goes all over the world. He's traveling. He's training. Is he going to be there? Do you know for sure that he's actually going to be at the gym?
Yes, sir. I heard he's going to be there a few days within the week. So it might be 3 days. It could be 4. I guess we'll get to see. And I'm just excited to see him, even if it's one day.
I got to tell you, I've had a lot of MMA managers reach out to me and say, "Tell me about this Sage Northcutt kid. Is he being represented? Does he have a manager?" I feel like you're the biggest recruit in the sport right now. So all these managers who are probably watching this right now, tell them, give them the good news or the bad news. Do you have a manager?
Well, right now, actually, my dad is like my manager because he has my best interest. So I guess I would say my dad's my manager, but I guess he always has been because he's always looking out for me. So he's also my coach too. Of
course, yes. He was in your corner for your debut. Are you fielding offers right now? Are a lot of people coming at you?
Yes, sir, they are. So ever since UFC 192, on the fight, and from there, everything's blown up, including Instagram, my Twitter, just all the media, everything, and people coming at you. So I think it's fun. I like hearing everybody and get to hear and talk to everybody. I think it's a blast.
How are you handling it? Is it overwhelming to a degree, or is it all positive?
Well, it's definitely different, and sure, it's not overwhelming. I enjoy it personally, but so any of the negative stuff that I might hear, or I try not to ever look at that, and I try to block it out. So really, I'm only hearing the positive aspect, the positive side of everything. So it's great.
Why do you think your debut was such a big story and, more importantly, so well received? As I talked about on my show last week, I mean, your videos on our website compared to even the champion, Daniel Cormier, you were tripling everyone, if not more. Why do you think so many people are interested in you?
Thank you. I would say probably because it could be the fact that I'm so young and I'm the youngest current fighter in the UFC right now. I'm 19. So that could have a part in it. And then maybe also because I could be slightly different from most fighters in the fact that I'm always smiling and I'm having fun. So like when I walked out there in the octagon, I was actually smiling right before they said, "Okay, ready," and to go out there and fight. I was actually sitting there smiling against the cage and just like soaking it all in because I'm having fun out there. So that could be a little bit different too. And maybe the fact that also not only that I'm young, but I'm in school at the same time. So I'm not getting to train full time. And if I did get to train full time, I might be a complete, like, totally different animal for a lot of fighters that I might go against my opponents. So maybe that could be the possibility also.
Are you taking any classes this semester at Texas A&M?
I am, yes, sir.
Wow.
I actually cut back classes a little bit. So before I had, I believe the minimum amount of hours to be a full-time student was 12 or 13, I believe. And I actually cut back a few classes so I could train. And like my fight for UFC 192, that was the first time I truly got to train for a fight. So that was incredible. And then my next fight, I'll have even more experience, more training. So I can just keep seeing myself go up and up with the more training and technique I learn.
What's it like when you walk around campus these days? A lot of people recognize you, more people recognizing you?
Yes, sir. You're right about that.
Man.
It's pretty cool. I like it. It's awesome.
And, okay, so when you signed your UFC contract and you found out that you're going to fight in your home state of Texas, did you have any idea that it would turn into this? Or did you think, all right, I'll make my debut, I'll get some local attention, and then I'll build my way up? Did you think in the back of your mind, all right, once these people see me, see what I'm all about, see my look, see my fighting style, it's going to explode? Did you think that in the back of your mind?
Oh, thank you very much. Well, actually, I've always known that the UFC is incredible at bringing up all their fighters. They're just amazing and getting the fighters out there and known. So, but not this much. I had no idea it was going to blow up this much. This is incredible, and I'm sure every fighter would like it, and that's what they look forward to. So I've always looked forward to it myself, and I'm sure I've wanted this to happen. So I visualize it. It's perfect. It's happening just like I pretty much thought it would, and even more than I thought. Even better.
So it all starts when Dana White and his buddies show up to your fight at Legacy for his reality show. And, of course, prior, as you've probably seen, they were kind of joking about you, and then you knocked their socks off. Did you have any idea while you were fighting that he was in attendance?
Actually, believe it or not, good thing you mentioned that. So when I actually was back there warming up before the fight, I had no idea whatsoever he was there or he was even coming, and I know he hasn't scouted or gone to any other MMA leagues or smaller events in like a whole entire year. So
yeah.
When I was actually walking out there, I heard some news, like some people were going, like I thought it was a rumor possibly, but they go, hey, Dana White's here. He's watching people fight. He's going to be watching you fight, Sage. And I was like, man, this is incredible. I hope that's true. I had no idea that he was really there. And then once I actually stepped foot in the cage for that event in Lake Charles, the Golden Nugget Casino, I actually saw him through the cage and saw him right there. So he was with Matt Serra and Nick the Tooth. So that was just super cool. So I put on a great show, and I finished my guy in the first round and choked him out. And it happened. I don't think it could have happened any better. It was perfect. And I thought it was just so amazing that he happened to be there at that time. Yeah. And the odds of that.
And what did he say to you afterwards?
Afterwards, he said, for he knew I was 19 years old and he knew the amount of fights I had. So he thought it was funny that I had my hair spiked up and that he said it looked like I just walked out of a tanning booth, all tanned up, didn't think I could fight. And then he said I pretty much blew his mind that he took back his words from what he thought before the fight and then what he thought after the fight. So within a few weeks afterwards, I got the call from Dana White, and Mr. White said that he'd like me to fight on the UFC 192 card. And that was just the best opportunity that's ever happened so far. And, of course, took advantage of that, and I'm so glad that I got that opportunity and so glad he picked me and saw the talent in me to fight.
How did you react to that news, and how did you celebrate that all of a sudden you were on the UFC roster just like that overnight?
Well, you know what? When he actually gave me the call, I had already had another fight planned with the league that I was fighting in called Legacy.
Yeah.
So I know some people didn't want me to actually fight, but Mr. White had the confidence in me that I could fight. But obviously, if I would have lost the fight or gotten injured, then I wanted to fight for UFC 192. So I knew that going into my fight, and I finished my guy, and that was actually finished him in the second round, made sure there's no injuries, no possibility of injuries, and try to minimize those risks. And it was just such a huge opportunity. So it was awesome.
Considering how everything blew up in the week leading up to 192, and you were put in the media workouts and all that, and there was a ton of attention and talk about you leading up to that fight, did you feel nervous at all? Like in the locker room, right before you were about to walk out, did it finally hit you, oh my gosh, I'm about to fight in the octagon in front of my people, a lot of buzz? You don't seem like the kind of kid that gets nervous, but I'm wondering if right before it sort of hit you in sort of an actions kind of way.
Well, thank you very much. Well, actually, when I walked out there and I was warming up in the back of the locker room, I was actually watching everybody fight. So I saw the first 2 fights before me up on the screen, and Sergio Pettis, Andy Pettis' brother, and I was just watching them fight. So I warmed up a little bit and got ready, but I was just sitting there real calm. And then after the second fight was done, they go, "Hey, Sage, you're about to go up there and fight." So I was just ready. I hopped up, and I had no jitters whatsoever. And actually, when I actually walked out in there, I love the feeling of everybody watching. So when I walked out there, I was looking at the whole entire audience, just soaking it all in. And I personally, it might be different with other fighters, but it doesn't really get me nervous or really even the butterflies too much. Like, sure, you kind of get the butterflies in your stomach before you go out there, and because you just pumped up to fight, but not the feeling of being nervous, but it just kind of gives me more energy, more to go out there and do my best. So the answer would be no. I wasn't nervous. I was loving it.
Did the commission tell you no gel in the hair?
They did. Yes, sir. They did.
Bad. I wasn't used to seeing you with that poofy hair.
It was poofy.
Did that bother
Maybe
you?
I'll do some different hairstyles, mix it up.
Did that bother you that you couldn't wear gel for your UFC debut?
No, that didn't bother
Okay.
me. I just figured maybe my opponent would feel my hair and be like, "Man, his hair is really soft."
Speaking of that opponent, he came in overweight. He complained about the stoppage. He pushed Herb Dean, Francisco Trevino. I'm talking about. What did you make of the way he handled himself?
Well, first off, speaking of Francisco Trevino, I would say that anybody, and I'm sure anybody else would say also, that anybody in the UFC is in the UFC for a reason. So there are no slouches in the UFC. If you look at his record, he was 12-1, and the only loss he lost to was Johnny Case, and he happened to go all 3 rounds with Johnny Case. Johnny Case couldn't finish him, and Francisco Trevino, until he fought me, hasn't been finished, hasn't been submitted, hasn't been knocked out, and he only had that 1 loss. And I'm sure anybody would say that Johnny Case also isn't any slouch. He's 20-4, I believe. So there are no slouches in the UFC, and the stoppage by Mr. Dean out there, he knows how to stop the fights. He's been in the UFC so long and been around so long that he's the best. He's one of the best referees out there. So I believe that it wasn't me stopping the fight. It was him. So he knows what he was doing.
You've been given this new nickname, Sage Van Zandt, and people comparing you to Paige and her rise, your rise. What do you make of all this?
I think it's great. That's super funny. I like it.
You don't mind it?
Because I don't mind it. Paige Van Zandt, she's very pretty, and she's very outgoing and always smiling. So that's a huge compliment. We both kind of look alike. I would say blonde hair. Smiling.
Yes, it's a bizarre thing. You're like the Ken and Barbie of the UFC. Are you okay with that?
Oh, thank you, Mr. Helwani. Thank you.
You're fine. Some people are saying that as an insult, but you take it as a compliment. That's what I love about you.
Oh, definitely a compliment. Absolutely.
Unbelievable. What an amazing thing. And your sister is also a fighter. She fights for Legacy Kickboxing, right? Colby, I believe her name is?
Colby, yes, sir. She actually hasn't fought recently. She's been focusing on school, but it's been a few years since she's fought a little bit.
Your success, is that going to get her to pick it up again?
Very possibly, because I think she's getting to see me have so much fun, and she's getting to see everything and how amazing the UFC is, and everybody how nice they are. So everybody, UFC Fight Pass, you yourself are incredibly nice and awesome. Everybody is. So I'm having a blast, and I'm sure she's seen that too.
What weight does she fight at, or did she fight at?
135.
135. Very interesting.
But she's 6 foot tall, and she's lean and ripped up. So she is a pretty big 135, I would say.
Your dad said that you never really watched the UFC fights when they would watch. For whatever reason, you didn't like to watch. Is that going to change now? Sure, absolutely. It changes. I'm watching as much as I possibly can. Okay. And I do watch when I get the chance to. He just might have thought that maybe I was not getting to because I was doing schoolwork or having to study for projects or stuff like that. So ever since I was in junior high, I've made straight A's. All throughout high school, I had a 4.0, straight A's my whole entire time in high school while traveling about every single other weekend to tournaments. And then at Texas A&M,
I'm in petroleum engineering, which engineering for A&M, it's the number one school in the nation for engineering.
Wow.
So that alone is a huge accomplishment, and that takes a lot of time away from getting to watch maybe all the fights. But I love watching the fights, and it's very fun to watch them.
Is it important for you to get your degree, in the straight, 4 years time, or is there a chance you might take a break now?
Well, since you mentioned that, I actually might take a break.
Uh-oh.
So right now, from the first semester, I'm now in my second semester. So first semester, I was taking full-time classes. And now that I'm in my second semester, I noticed that I'm getting a fight for the UFC. So having full-time classes, it doesn't really work out because there's so much workload and so much studying that you really don't have time to train. So I would stay up until 2 or 3 in the morning just studying, and then I'd have to go get a mile or so and a few miles run and work out the gym super late and try to get my working out in like that late at night. So now I've cut back on the workload. And in the future too, the more fights I go, you could possibly see me taking a break from school for a year, maybe 2 years, and we'll see how that goes. And then I think I'd be totally different because getting trained full time, it's just going to be completely different. It'll change everything about me. I'll be a totally different animal out there in the ring, and it could be pretty scary for some opponents, knowing that I'm getting trained, and I'm so young, so I have so much to learn.
Have they told you what's next yet?
No, sir, they haven't. I don't know the opponent yet, but I'm hopefully hoping to fight within the next month or two, and I'm ready to fight any day. So I know there's a super fight weekend coming up in December, and even that would be amazing to fight on. And it's such an honor to be able to fight for the UFC. So pretty much anytime I get to fight for the UFC, I'm going out there to put my best show on, put on a show for the crowd, and get everybody's money worth, and just make everybody have a blast out there, just getting to see something different.
Do you have a dream scenario? If they say, okay, what do you want? Which card, which opponent, pick? Do you have an answer?
Well, right now, no, I actually don't have any opponent in mind right now, only because I would like to work my way up the ladder, and I'm only 19, so I do have a lot of technique to learn and a lot of things to drill and positions and situations. So I don't want to just go straight into the fights with the number one top guys, top 10 guys yet. I mean, I'd rather work my way up there. And then I'm happy fighting anywhere. So if it were to be Australia, if it were to be in Las Vegas, be on a super fight weekend, any of that's great for me. And I'm just very happy that I get a chance to fight.
Here's the big question. It's around 140 in Texas right now. How many push-ups and sit-ups have you done today?
So this morning I went to jiu-jitsu class, and then push-ups and sit-ups, under 500, but I got to mix in the weights later. So
I notice every time you speak, like your pecs are going up and down. It's mesmerizing. There it is. There it is. What a guy. You must get tons of people reaching out to you. I can't imagine what your Twitter is like right now and your Instagram. This has got to be this is like a dream, right? Have you woken up from this dream, or do you still feel like you're on cloud 9 here?
No, it still is cloud 9 pretty much, because it's totally different. So I'm enjoying every minute of it, every second. So it's awesome. I hope my Twitter, my Instagram, and everything out there just keeps going up, because I want the most people to be able to see what I can do and my future fights too.
You are a breath of fresh air, my friend. Congratulations on all your success thus far. I love the smile on your face. I love your positive attitude. Your father as well. I had the pleasure of meeting him. Just a great story, and I wish you nothing but the best. Good luck in Montreal. Enjoy that. Good luck meeting George. Great guy as well, and the whole team over there is great. And I'm very much looking forward to not only your next fight, but watching your ride in the UFC. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Great to have you on the show for the first time as well.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me too.
All right, there he is. Super Sage Northcutt. Great stuff from him. A fresh face, just 19 years old, and all of a sudden, bang, a gigantic star in the UFC. New York Rick writing me a bunch of stuff, but I think he's got it. He's a big boy. New York Rick getting married. I keep saying that. His wedding is this Saturday. I still don't understand the wedding. We'll get to that later. I'm happy. Someone just asked me if I'm happy outside. I'm happy. I just spoke to Sage Northcutt, for God's sakes, the new face of the UFC. I love that kid. What a great attitude. calling me sir and Mr. Helwani. Like I said, I think I said it on the beat. He came up to me after his win, and he was like, "Hello, sir, Mr. Helwani. I just want to introduce myself. My name is Sage Northcutt." I'm like, "Man, you just kicked some ass in the octagon. You don't think I know who you are?" What a great kid. People love him. Speaking of TriStar, one of TriStar's own, Joseph Duffy, is going to be joining us right now. He joins us via the magic of Skype. He is headlining the UFC's return to Dublin in less than 2 weeks against Dustin Poirier. What a big show that's going to be, sold out in just a matter of moments. There he is, Irish Joe himself. Joe, how are you?
I'm good, thanks, Ariel. How are you?
I'm doing great. How's my hometown doing? You're in beautiful Montreal, right?
It's looking good. The sun's shining.
Yes, that is a good thing. By the way, happy Thanksgiving to you. You know it's Thanksgiving over there.
I do know. I've seen plenty of pictures of grub that I can't eat.
Oh, that's right. Okay, we won't talk about that. By the way, I was just talking to Sage Northcutt. You know he's coming to Montreal to train at TriStar. What do you make of this kid?
I heard. I've seen his debut. He looked awesome. So it'd be great to have him up here.
Okay, I have a lot to talk to you about, Joseph. And right off the bat, I want to address this because I've been talking about you leading up to your fight, and in particular, what happened at the Go Big press conference. So I feel like I have to be an honest man, and let's talk about it right off the top. I talked about how when Conor was at that press conference, he was firing off at everyone, and I thought the only guy who had a place to step up and say something was you, because you beat him not that long ago, 5 years ago, but still you beat him in rather quick fashion. You could have said, "Hey, pipe down over there. I beat you. You can't say anything about me." But you chose not to, and I felt like that was a missed opportunity, because if you would have done that, people would have jumped on your bandwagon, and it would have just made that rematch that much bigger. And I think it could be the biggest fight in Irish MMA history. Why did you choose to say nothing when he was calling you a journeyman and all this stuff?
Tell you the truth, Ariel, Conor's opinion doesn't really mean a lot. He went on a lot of the fighters, but none of that stuff bothers me. It's not my style. I'm not gonna talking back and forth. That's not me. So I just felt that I'll do and say whatever comes natural.
You're kind of breaking up on us, and I really want to hear what you have to say. Can we call you on your phone? Is that okay?
No problem. Fire away.
Okay, Eric, give him a call on his phone, because I want to obviously hear what he had to say. I want to give him that opportunity to talk about it. I just want to hear from him, period. So let's call him on phone. We don't have to do Skype. Just call him on his cell, and we'll connect with Joseph. I can kind of tell where he was going with that, and you have to respect that. I mean, who the hell cares what I think? At the end of the day, you have to be happy with yourself and comfortable with yourself, and conduct yourself as you feel like you should conduct yourself as a professional. And if you don't want to go down that road, you can't. I was just saying that I felt like the Aldo fight is gigantic, but in Ireland, if there's a rivalry there, and you could see that there's a major difference in the way one guy handles himself, that could be just a super gigantic fight. I mean, that fight alone could probably sell out Croke Park, in my opinion. Croke Park, in case you don't know about it, is the big soccer stadium over there in Dublin, which Conor has talked about wanting to fight there. They've had some issues with what's it called, the curfew and all that, but that's a road that they'd like to travel down. Joseph, are you there?
I know. I said hello, but I just said hello.
Hello, Joseph. Can you hear me? It's Ariel.
I did there.
Okay, cool. Can you repeat that answer, because I couldn't really hear what you had to say, and I want to give you the opportunity to respond. It was breaking up a little bit. In short, why did you choose not to respond to Conor at that press conference?
I know. I said hello, but I just said hello.
What's that?
I did there.
Is this Joseph?
I know. I said hello, but I just said hello.
Okay, maybe this is not Joseph.
Yeah.
Eric, what's going on? Call him back.
I did there.
We're going to call back Joe. I don't know if that was a recording. That felt like something out of the Howard Stern show, when they take those clips and They replay them over and over again. Maybe, you know what's funny? Anyway, I won't go into that. That was a weird thing. I actually got a prank call from someone in Ireland over the weekend. I was wondering, they were pretending to be Connor, and I was wondering, how did you get my phone number? It's a very strange thing. Who in Ireland is sharing my phone number? It was very silly. They were talking about Red Panty Night and trying to get me to talk to Connor, but it was one of the worst. The number was from Ireland. Maybe you can fake that. But the accent clearly wasn't from Ireland. It was very strange. And that sounded kind of like what they were doing all over again. Maybe they've hacked Joseph Duffy's phone. Anyway, that Dublin show is coming up in 10 days? 12 days. And they sold it out in minutes. I believe it's now called the 3E Arena. Is that what it's called? Or it was the O2. Prior to that, it was something else. They keep changing the name. And it's a great card headlined by Dustin Poirier versus Joseph Duffy. Paddy Holohan is on the card. An amazing heavyweight fight between Ben Rothwell and Stipe Miocic. Aisling Daly is on the card as well. Cathal Pendred. The regular cast of characters that you would expect from a card in Dublin. But I'm very curious to see how the fans react to Duffy. It's not Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor's not fighting on that card. He tried, as he said on the show last week, to fight on the card, but you can understand why the UFC wouldn't make that happen. This is a card that is on Fight Pass. It's exclusively on Fight Pass, so those shows are back. We get to hear from our friends John Gooden and Dan Hardy, and you can understand with that gigantic Jose Aldo fight coming up in less than 2 months at this point, or exactly 2 months from today, they're not going to risk that. Where's Joseph? Is he having trouble finding him? Okay. I really want to know why he kept saying that over and over again. He's claiming... Okay. Claiming that the number I gave him was wrong. Well, after Joseph, we still got a few... Okay, thank you to Sean Sheehan for telling me that Croke Park is not a soccer stadium. It is a GAA stadium. Whatever that means. After Joseph Duffy, we're going to be joined by Cody Garbrandt, one of the rising stars at Team Alpha Male. And then after that, we're going to be joined by John Fitch in studio. He is in town because he's fighting at Foxwoods this Saturday against Yushin Okami. Some other familiar names fighting on that card: Colton Smith and Matt Hamill, Vinny Magalhaes, Notorious Nick Newell. Speaking of prank calls, Rampage Jackson, I told him this. I actually called him. Some people were on his Twitch thing last week, and I said, man, you got to come out with one of these videos once every 2-3 days, because he has definitely stumbled upon something here, something real special. If you didn't hear Rampage a day after our interview, he prank called me. He didn't prank call me. He wasn't prank calling me. He just woke me up at 6 a.m. He was on his Twitch. I keep calling it Switch. He was on his Twitch, and I wake up, and you look at your phone, and you see Rampage Jackson on the phone, and it's a bit of a jarring thing right off the bat. But I didn't send it to voicemail. I did not do that. I just kind of looked at it and thought that maybe he was butt dialing me or something, so I put it away. Left me that message that you can hear on the clip, and then he called me right back. And so this time I felt like I had to pick it up. I went to the other room because my family was sleeping, and it was a fun conversation. I think he was drinking a little bit, had been drinking at least, and then someone took it and posted it on the internet. And then he apparently did the same thing with Rashad Evans, and that one was even funnier. When he asked Rashad if he likes, what did he ask? Dragons. When he asked him if he liked dragons, that whole exchange, I was literally laughing for 3 to 5 minutes. It was unbelievable. If you've missed that, I mean, there's like 40, 50,000 views. And so I told him, you got to put this out there every, 2-3 days, because this is a real show that I think you can actually make money off of. But I haven't seen any other clips after that. What's going on over here? I'm not really quite sure what's going on with the whole Rampage. The whole Rampage situation with his contract. It seems to be unclear. Basically, I think what he said to he said the UFC won't stand in his way if he wants to go back to Bellator, but I don't think that's the green light for him to go back to Bellator. At least not in the near future. I think he does want to fight in the UFC, but obviously wants to make money as well and fight while he can. There was some talk of him wanting to fight in Japan, but that's not going to happen. I mean, it's going to be the UFC or Bellator. There's no doubt about that. The Japan thing is interesting because they held that press conference last week, and I reported on Tuesday that, all right, what I reported was Sakuraba versus Aoki. That ended up being true. Fuji TV, that ended up being true. I reported they didn't have the name yet. That ended up being true. I remember there being one other thing, but I can't remember what it was now off the top of my head. And then there was the Fedor news. And I know a lot of people want me to be wrong. I know they're all dying for me to be wrong. But what I have been told, I was told that, from multiple very good sources, that they were targeting, as I said, Jaydeep Singh. And what I was told was Sakakibara found out that the news leaked, and maybe this ended up being a good thing, decided that they're going to kind of stretch out the way they announced the news because, well, the fight's in 2.5 months, and, why not? Why put everything out there in one shot? I don't think that's the worst idea in the world, to be honest with you. So they announced Fedor on the card. They also announced Gabby Garcia on the card. They didn't announce her opponent as well. They announced a lot of the things. There's going to be a tournament. It's a 3-day event. That's the other thing that I reported. 3-day event that ended up being true as well. 29, 30, 31. And then apparently there was some Facebook page that said that, they're talking to other people and it's not true, even though this Facebook page kind of acknowledged the JD thing. Well, apparently that Facebook page is not even real. And then I saw some other people saying that it's not true as well. What I was told from multiple people was when I reported on Tuesday, that's the fight they were targeting. And JD even had a contract. And you know how these things go. As I said on the beat, contracts made to be broken. Look, they could have seen the reaction to the news, and got cold feet or said, "Oh, look, people don't like this." What I know is that they don't want to pay a lot of money for Fedor's opponent. They're paying for a lot right off the bat, and they feel like Fedor is the draw in his own right, good or bad. That's the line of thinking. And well, Jaydeep is Indian Japanese, somewhat of a draw, competed in K1. That's the line of thinking. As much as the North American fans aren't really feeling it, that's the line of thinking right now. By Ryzen, I really don't know yet how to properly pronounce the name of the organization. But anyhow, when I report it, 100% fact, I check in every day, and I'm told that's still the case. It's just they're deciding to spread it. Crazy things happen all over the place in this sport, and especially in a new promotion. Who knows? But make no mistake about it. When that was reported last week, that was 100% fact. And you notice Jerry Millen's on Twitter, other people associated on Twitter, none of them are refuting this. None of them are saying it's crazy. It's all these other people who are saying it. So just trust me. Trust me. All right. I think we have Joe now. Joe, are you there?
How's it going, Ariel?
Oh, yes. I can hear you loud and clear, my friend. Sorry about that. Okay.
I see you were giving prank calls there.
Yes. Who was that?
God only knows.
I don't even know what they were saying. It was very bizarre. They kept saying something over and over again. And someone from Ireland prank called me this weekend. But anyway, that's a different story for a different day. I want to ask you because I didn't hear what you said the first time. Why did you? I think you heard my question. Why did you choose not to respond to Conor at that press conference?
Yeah. To tell you the truth, it's just not really my style. I'm not too bothered what Conor's thoughts are on things, and I just said to myself the day before, I'll just do whatever feels natural, and I just felt like, I wasn't really going to get a lot out of having a trash talking battle there. So I'm just concentrating on my fight and forgetting about all that stuff.
So the competitor in you're sitting there, you hear him saying these things about you. You weren't getting riled up. You weren't tempted at all to say anything in the mic.
No, not in the least.
Wow.
At the end of the day, my job isn't to talk. My job's to fight. So, he can talk all he wants, but if it came to the two of us meeting in the octagon, then that's another story.
How close do you think you are to that fight?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether it's something the UFC and Conor are interested in, or even myself. Really, I suppose I'm just taking it one fight at a time. At the minute, I got a tough opponent in Dustin in front of me, so my full attention's on that. And I suppose after this fight's done, we'll go back to the drawing board.
And I 100% understand and respect that, but for the record, that is something that is of interest, right? I mean, you can recognize that that's a very big fight, right? You probably make a lot of money taking that fight.
Without a doubt. At the end of the day, this is a business. And I feel the fact that Phil Kropak, is, two Irish fighters, both at the top of the game. Obviously, there's history there as well. So I feel this is definitely an exciting fight for the fans.
How do they receive you over there in Ireland, and in particular Dublin? Because I know you did a lot of media when this news came out. They're pushing you. They're putting you in the main event. That's a big deal. That's the spot that Conor was in last year for the return to Dublin. Do you feel like, okay, there are two factions? Is there like the Conor faction, the Joseph faction? Because you guys couldn't be more different. I mean, it's amazing. You're a complete 180 from him. Do you feel like that's what's developing over here?
I suppose, when I was over in Dublin, the people received me well, and, I was travelling about, I was down in Cork. So, all the fans have been good as gold to me, Ariel. I'm not sure how they feel, and maybe that's spending most here in Montreal. But I don't feel it's that way. I just feel the general Irish public get behind their fighters, and, whether it's getting behind Conor or getting behind me, I don't see there's a reason they can't be getting behind us both.
What do you think it's going to be like in the arena that night? Because weirdly enough, Dustin, I feel like, is getting some support as well for the way he's handled the fight. He was linked to Conor to a degree, of course, because they fought around a year or so ago. Do you think it's going to be 100% pure, in favor of you? The support will be all, Joseph Duffy's way. And do you think it will be like the scene that it was last year when Conor fought in the main event?
I believe the fans will be behind me. I think they'll respect Dustin and they'll give him a warm welcome. Like you said, because obviously the links, with him and Conor. But, I definitely 100% feel the fans will behind me on the night.
Do you make a conscious effort to be as different as possible from Conor?
No, without doubt. I go about my day-to-day life just the way I am, Ariel. I feel that if I tried to be any different, then people would just see through it. So I try to be myself, and I feel that seems to be working so far.
Is it a blessing to not be in Ireland training, not even be in Europe training for this fight, to be all the way in Canada so that you don't get caught up in all the hoopla of your first UFC main event?
I suppose I quite like that idea. I like to be away from the bubble. When you're surrounded by it day in, day out, I feel you can get caught up in it pretty easy, and your attention is drawn elsewhere. But when I'm out here in Montreal,
I walk in the gym, it's a gym full of UFC fighters who's all big names. There's no egos. We get to work and we turn up fight week and then it's business time. We're all in the groove, ready for the fight.
When do you head over to Ireland?
I'm leaving a week today, Ariel. So arrive Tuesday morning.
What do you think it's going to be like, and are you preparing yourself for that? It's going to be unlike your other two fights. You know that. I mean, that's no secret. Are you preparing for the intensity of what that fight week is going to be like for you?
No, really. I'm one of the people who just likes to take things as it comes. I'm quite excited, obviously, to see the difference between this and the other UFC shows I've done so far. So yeah, I don't look too much into it. Obviously, I know I'm going to have a few more media obligations and a few things are going to be different. But I got an experienced team behind me, and they'll guide me through.
In your wildest dreams, did you ever imagine your first two fights going the way they have? I mean, it's been nothing short of amazing. Is this what you predicted, or has this exceeded your expectations?
That's a good question. I definitely didn't expect it to go as well as it has. Obviously, I'm 100% confident in my abilities, and I know I got the tools to pull off the wins the way I have. But every fight I go into, I'm expecting it to be the toughest fight I've had to date. So, I definitely wouldn't say I expected them to go the way it has, but, touch wood, it'll continue to go this way.
And I don't know how much you've been looking at Dustin, but if you have been studying him, do you have any idea why he's looked so good at 155 since moving back up from 145?
I can't say I do. Maybe everything's just a little bit better. Maybe he's a little bit happier. He's walking around at a more natural weight, and I don't know. It's hard to say. And tell you the truth, I don't really think too much about them kind of things. Obviously, he's looked better at 155, but that is it is no part of my game and what I intend to do in the evening. So I put them things out of my head and concentrate on what I'm doing and what I feel I do well. And I feel like I can beat anyone at 155.
So when you were offered this fight, were you expecting this progression? Or was Dustin a bigger name than you expected for your third fight? A lesser name? Where did he fall in with your expectations?
I suppose it definitely came a little bit sooner than I realized. I thought being just below the co-main in Glasgow that maybe this time I'll be the co-main. Especially with it being in Ireland. But when I got offered, a big name, a ranked opponent, I had to jump at the opportunity. These are the opportunities we dream of fighting, main event in Ireland, against a ranked opponent. And it's a big opportunity for me to progress in my career. And it's an opportunity I feel is right for me at the right time.
It's funny. I'm wondering. The connections are always there with Conor because you beat him last. But even with Dustin, there's a major connection there. Did you chuckle a little bit? You're like, oh, here we go. Because just if you were fighting a guy who hadn't fought Conor, there I don't think would be as many questions. But because he sort of set a standard against him, now people are going to wonder if you can top him or look as good as him. Did you chuckle a little bit? Like, oh, great. Now another reason to bring up Conor in all the build-up, all the media leading up to the fight.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, that's the way to look at it. People always like to link me and Conor, and obviously with the Dustin link as well. I suppose it raises a few eyebrows and it gets people talking. So yeah, I suppose that was the case. But again, styles make fights, and I feel the Conor and Dustin fight is it is no place in this fight. He's gone up to 155, and obviously he's feeling good. He's confident. He's coming off a couple of good wins. So all them things, they're not linked.
the way they kind of seem they are.
At this point, is it fair to say that you are comfortable in all facets of MMA, or do you feel like there's one part that you really need to improve as opposed to the other parts of the game?
Honestly, I'm a bit of a perfectionist. I feel like I would like to improve everything.
Okay.
And obviously being here in TriStar, there's so many great guys, and individuals are very good at different areas. I feel like I can learn something off all the fighters here. So I wouldn't say there's a particular area that, needs addressing more than the others. I just feel like I would like to move my whole game to the next level.
And I'm assuming you're happy at TriStar. You feel like that's the place in which you can do that.
Yeah. Since I've been out here in TriStar, for the first time, I feel like I'll reach my full potential. I know how far I can go deep down, and I know with all the guys around me here at TriStar that I can go to the top. And for the first time in my life, I feel very settled in my training.
I know you are a proud Irishman. Your nickname is Irish Joe. I get that. I respect that. I have a Canadian flag right in back of me. I'm proud of where I come from as well. When people question your loyalty to Ireland and say, what Connor says, and then people jump on that bandwagon, English Joe, Welsh Joe, Canadian Joe, does that get under your skin?
Nothing Connor says can get under my skin. Like I said, if it was somebody who I cared about, my family or something, saying something like this, then yeah, maybe. But Connor's opinion doesn't matter to me. He can say what he wants, but it doesn't change the way I fight him. It doesn't change the fact that I still feel I would beat him. And none of that stuff changes. Obviously, it draws a bit of attention media-wise, and it starts to get the ball rolling, everything. But, none of that stuff will ever get under my skin.
Do you think if you fight him again, it goes just as quickly?
I believe I can take Connor out just as quickly. Everyone always says Connor is greatly improved, and so am I. Everything Connor does, I feel like I can beat him at. Now he uses more kicks. I've been doing Taekwondo since I was 5. There's not an area that I feel he can beat me.
How do you foresee the fight against Dustin going?
I never make predictions. Anyone who knows me, I never make predictions. But I feel good. I feel very good. I'm happy with the way training has gone. I'm feeling very sharp, and I know that's going to carry over now into fight week. So, I go out and I'm ready for 5 rounds of war.
By the way, who's going to be in your corner?
So we got Faraz. He's making the first trip over to Europe. So
wow, first time.
First time.
Whoa.
First time. So that's going to be quite exciting. Coach O'Keefe as well, Eric O'Keefe. He was my head cornerman over in Glasgow. I do a lot of work with Eric as well, especially in my stand-up stuff. So it's great to have Eric over again. And I got Tom Breeze, as long as, there's no injuries or no complications in his fight, he'll be there. And also my wrestling coach, Matt Miller.
And Rory McDonald's going to be there, but obviously not in your corner, right?
Yeah, Rory's going to be there as one of the guest fighters. So, again, it's great to have someone like Rory, just fought for the title. That kind of experience. I feel it's very, very important to have these kind of people around who's been there and done it all.
Last question for you. If all goes well next Saturday, not this coming Saturday, the following Saturday, October 24th, live on UFC Fight Pass in front of your fellow countrymen in Ireland, if all goes well against Dustin Poirier, and Dan Hardy walks up to you in the cage with that microphone, and of course he's going to try to ask you about what's next and all that, are you going to go the Connor route? Because man, oh man, I'll be sitting at home just wondering how they're going to react to this. A fellow Irishman calling out another. Just my mind is going to explode. I want to see this fight. I want to see the rematch. I want to see it at Croke Park. I think it'll be fantastic stuff. Will you go that route, or is that just not your style?
We'll just have to see what happens. We'll wait for the night.
Okay.
We'll see how things go, see how I feel, and we'll go from there.
Fair enough.
I'll leave people in suspense for
That's good. That's good. That's probably the best answer because then they have to watch, right?
Exactly. Tune in.
Exactly. October 24th from Dublin, Ireland on UFC Fight Pass. Joseph, I really appreciate the time. Sorry about the delay and also the tech issues trying to reach you. Thanks for being a good sport. Thank you for joining us from my hometown. I feel like we have a bit of a connection now that you're joining me from Montreal. And most importantly, good luck in this fight. I can't wait for it. Less than 2 weeks away, you versus Dustin Poirier. Fantastic matchmaking. Really looking forward to it. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Ariel. All the best. Take care.
There he is. What a class act. What a great guy Joseph Duffy is. Really appreciate his time. Again, a fantastic card and an amazing main event, an intriguing main event. I saw some fans complaining about it when it was announced. Are you kidding me? That's the perfect kind of Fight Pass show and a perfect show for that market as well. I think it's going to be really interesting to see just where Joseph Duffy is at. If he can beat Dustin Poirier, he's there. I'm curious to see what the line is. Is the line out there for that one? That'll be interesting as well. All right, let's move along. Let's go to our next guest. Also has been very patient. We've been backed up a little bit today, but I appreciate him standing by. We're going to Skype once again. Cody Garbrandt is joining us in Sacramento, right? You're in Sacramento right now?
Oh, yep, Sacktown. Get down.
Yes. Cody, thank you for the time. So this has been an interesting show for us, and I'm happy that you're coming on because I don't know if you know, TJ was on at the very beginning. Then we had Duane, and now we have you, who, of course, is a very proud member of the team. TJ said that he was told he's no longer welcome. It's been a lot of drama. He's upset with the way it's gone, and Duane kind of echoing that. What's your perspective on what's happened in the last week or so?
First and foremost, I wish TJ nothing but the best. It was his decision to leave, just like it was his. He could have stayed. Him trying to play the victim and this and that. It's not how it is. It was a grown man decision for him to leave. If we're not good enough for you, then why are you going to come in the gym and train with us and go out to Colorado and do your training there? Like, I think you're just playing the victim, and it's like, you know what I mean? Like, we're all tight with him. It's all cool. It's like, I think it's just making it harder. Like, do you want to stay with us or do you want to go out there? Like, you can't be in between. So, I mean, that's where I stand on it. Like I said, I talked to TJ before. I said, I wish you nothing but the best. But, when and if it's when we come down to fight, like, I'm going to look forward to it. I said, you're the world champion and that you have what we all want, So, as I said, the best of luck to him. And, he's out in Colorado now and it's just, whatever,
So for the record, you support this decision to say, you know what, you can't come to the gym anymore. You've left.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if we're not good enough, if you don't feel like that we're not good enough for you to train with us and be here, then why are you going to just pop in? You're going to train here and there. Like, I don't understand it really. But I'm not against his decision for leaving. You know what I mean? If he feels like that's the best thing that he has to do for his career right now, hey, best of luck to you, TJ. It's like that's what I told him. But it's playing the victim thing that we don't want him in here and this and that. We're going to be fighting each other. There's possible matchups. Like, why would you be in here working with each other when you already have announced that you were leaving and going to Denver and you have your coach out there? For me, it's like it opens a lot of doors for me. A lot of his decision to leave. He's a champion. It's like I'm on my own journey. I want to get a title run. Get a title run going. Whoever's next for me and get in that spot. That's why I got into the sport, and I wanted to be a world champion since I was 13, long before I knew who TJ Dillashaw was.
Is this a blessing in disguise for you? Now that path is open to the belt. Maybe before, when he was a part of the team, it would get a little dicey?
Man, it's not a blessing in disguise, because, I mean, I like TJ, and we're friends, but at the end of the day, it's a business, and holding the title is what we're all in it for. If you're not in it to be the champion, you need to get out and do something else, go get a 9-to-5 or whatever. I'm here to be a champion, and it just makes it easier to make a title run. Now I'm more motivated. I'm driven. My vision is clear to go, to go after the belt. You know what I mean? Like, now that I would have fought him here. You know what I mean? Like, it would have been, we would have to split the gyms up. So yeah, it's kind of cool. I can focus on really, my vision is, like I said, my vision is clear when I'm holding a title. So it's just a matter of time, get these fights and make a title run.
How big of a distraction has this been for both you and the team this past week?
Man, the most distraction was that lady shitting and puking in Faber's bathroom. You know,
What was that all about?
You know what I mean? Like,
Jesus.
We couldn't quit laughing. We couldn't quit laughing today about it at practice. I mean, that girl. I heard that she knocked on the door, shouldered Faber, tackled him down, ran to the bathroom, shit and puked in his bathroom. So that was like the biggest distraction. You know what I mean? Like, it's business at the end of the day, man. We have fun training. We enjoy each other. You know what I mean? Like, it is like a family out here. It's like, you walked away from the family, you know what I mean? I'm from a family that's broken, that we fight and we try to stay together, you know what I mean? I don't know, you just don't walk away from family like that. But like I said, best wishes to him, and we're all on our own journey out here. But it's business as usual, you know. We're training, we're having fun, we're gonna keep being successful. We just have Rick Rufus in here right now. He's hitting pads, coming in. We're just trial and error with coaches. You know what I mean? Like, we're always going to be here. You know what I mean? So we're bringing in coaches that is going to adapt to us, and he's got a good mindset. He spoke to us after practice and what his goals were and his personal goals with everyone and the team goals. So it was nice. We'll see how he goes.
That's interesting. Is this his first day there?
Yeah, first day here. Yeah.
Okay. And in case people go ahead. Sorry.
All right, good.
I was going to say, in case people don't know what you were talking about with the Faber thing, check out Uriah on Snapchat. Also, I think some people posted the video on YouTube. Someone apparently broke into his new home and had an accident, and the police had to come. Just a wild scene. He handled it. He handled it very well. So in case they don't know, it might have gone over their head what the heck you were talking about there.
Yeah. You have to check that out.
If TJ goes over and you say you're still friends, he goes over to Denver and is like, this is amazing muscle farm. It's a great facility. I've been there, and says, man, you'll be a better fighter if you come here. Would you entertain that idea?
No, I told TJ that I would go out and train with him, you know what I mean, help him out. You know, we was, I'm hopefully have a fight coming up soon, and maybe in the same time frame that we could have used camps together now. But now he's left, you know what I mean? Now it was like him coming back like he did before, like he was going to go there for 2 weeks at Duane's and come back here and there. You left, man. Like, it's it's either you're with us or you're against us. You know, that's how it's got to be. You know?
Has this divided the camp at all, or are you guys pretty much on the same wavelength now?
No, I mean, like Faber said, like, we're all going to have our own personal, relationships with TJ and how it goes about it. Faber's not, pushing away from a friendship with TJ. It's just like, if he believes that our gym's not the best for him, why would we let him in the gym and train with us and that? You can't have the best of both worlds, you know what I mean? It was your decision to leave. You're either, like I said, you're either with us or you're against us. So, I mean, yeah, they're all, we're all going to be cool. And, after however this plays out, I'm just sitting back and waiting for my next fight and focusing on that and then letting everything, it's a domino effect, let everything fall into place, and I believe everything happens for a reason. And like I said, my vision is clear. I'm dedicated. I'm motivated. This motivates me to, it's a motivation, It's a very big motivation.
So speaking of that next fight, when is it?
I don't know yet. Hopefully in January. We talked. So just waiting on an opponent. A few in mind.
What do you got?
I just saw I saw an article that John Lineker said that he can knock out TJ and Cruz. So I say, hey, if you think you knock those guys out, let's us scrap and then go for there. You know what I mean? I think that's a good fight for my career. A fan favorite.
Yeah.
He likes to fight. I mean, it makes sense. Caraway, he's ducking and dodging everyone. I just want to beat his ass and get him out of the rank. He's in the top 10 for what reason? Whoever though, I'm ready to fight. I'm hungry. I'm very motivated. I would like to fight before Christmas, but Christmas, December, January, whatever. I'm in the gym. I'm ready whenever.
Did you specifically ask for Caraway?
I asked for Lineker.
Okay.
I asked for Lineker, and
are they open to it?
I don't know if Caraway is. I don't know if he.
No, I mean Lineker.
Lineker. I've never heard back from Lineker or anything about Lineker. So
okay.
I just trying to push for it. I think that's a great fight, a great win for my career right now, and it sets me up for that title run. TJ leaving, I think it's a perfect time. Like I said, I believe everything happens for a reason. But like I said, whoever Sean has in mind for me, I'm ready for and just ready to fight. I want to get back in there. I know a lot of the guys that are in the top 10 right now have fights lined up, so 2-week notice, 3-week notice, 2 days, the day of, I'm ready to go. I'm always in shape. I'm just staying ready for a call.
How's my man Maddox?
Max is doing great. He just we actually FaceTime yesterday. He's doing great. He's in school. He's he's learning. He's getting big. He's about to be 10, so he's doing great. He's ready. He wanted to get on the Orlando card. He was like, Cody asked to get on the Orlando card. We can take him to Disney World after. Disney World.
Yeah.
After. But we pushed for that one. But, I mean, that would have been cool to go beat someone up and be able to take him to Disney World after, and it would have been nice. But, yeah, whenever he's excited just to watch me fight, he enjoys it. He thoroughly enjoys it. And, he gets to, be a part of that fight week with me and whatnot. It's an awesome week with him. But he's doing great. His family, everything's high spirits, healthy.
Is he going to walk you out every time now, or is that just a one-time thing?
I don't know. I kind of, put a lot of it was very emotional, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it was going to be that emotional. I really put my emotions in there and just, like I said, watch years fight for his life and almost give up. And virtually it was a phone call and a FaceTime that saved it, basically saved his life and took, let him take his medicine and just, I think that didn't impact me that much. I mean, I had so many, walking down to that cage, I wanted to be mad, I wanted to be pissed off, I wanted to be happy, I wanted to cry, I wanted to hug him and, just tell him that I loved him and everything's going to be fine and just for it all to unravel. So now it's like I got in my mind, he's going to walk me down when I'm fighting for the title. You know what I mean? That's the goal now. It's to walk me down for the title, and he's going to be there. Like I told him I was going to give him that world title. He's going to put it in his man cave. So that's the goal now, and that's what I'm running for right now is that world title within, whenever. So just keep grinding every day, getting better, and just enjoying life, enjoying the journey.
What a story that would be. Here's the big question I've been wanting to ask you for quite some time. What was it like when Paige knocked you out in training?
Oh, yeah, I saw that in the interview. She don't want these hands. No, but yeah, she's funny. That was a good one.
All's good there, right?
I laugh about that one. Oh, yeah. I'm actually using her iPad right now. I should probably take some selfies on it.
Okay.
Set me up the background.
Well, I don't want to get in trouble or anything between you two.
Yeah.
By the way, just curious, since you were talking about title fight, and of course the champion is TJ, did you guys ever spar, train together? Do you feel like you got some intimate knowledge on this guy that you can use if you ever did fight him in the near future?
100% confident. 100% confident that it comes down to it. That's what I told him. I texted him, about that. I said, if it comes down to us fighting, when it's time, it's going to be a fun fight. I really believe that's going to be just a scrap that I'm looking forward to. That that's a scrap. These scraps, Lineker, these guys are scraps that I look forward to that keep me up at night. I wake up in the middle of the night oh fuck, you know what I mean? This is the fight I want. You know what I mean? These are the fights that I got for fighting for, the ones that bring out the warrior spirit. You dig down, you just scrap, and you learn a lot about yourself from these tough fights, and that's what I want. I'm hungry for one of those that you feel like you're just just modern day warrior in there, and that's the fights that I'm looking for.
Yeah, all of a sudden, bantamweight has become super interesting. Last thing before I let you go, and again, thank you for the time. I've been seeing on these clips for The Ultimate Fighter, there's a bit of a dust-up between you and Conor McGregor, and I know you can't really talk about it because we're about to see, I don't think it's aired just yet, but when I say the name Conor McGregor, what comes to mind? Did it air yet?
No, it hasn't aired yet.
Okay.
No, I mean, it's cool. Conor, like I said, with what happened with me and Conor went down, I think if this went down, I'm really going to watch him, but I mean, it's a great show. I've been super busy traveling and stuff, but really just Conor was talking shit, man. It's I don't know, I'm not a one to just talk shit. Not if you're going to ask do something about it, I'm going to do something about it. And it was just it was all the TJ situation, but it wasn't more so about the TJ situation. It was more about him and Faber and Feely, we're mouthed and it just is what are you twerps going to do about it? What are you twerps going to do about it? I was like, man, this guy wants, this guy's asking me to get his ass kicked, he's asking for a fight. And I was like, man, it's got to get physical. So I was like, man, I'll do something about it. And he stood up and that was it, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And then the next week it was cool, yes, I mean, next week, whatever, it was cool. I went up to him and was like, hey man, you're not so bad when there, we had the pool party and everything. You're not so bad when there's, girls and alcohol involved. You're not a bad person. I was just joking. He's actually not a bad guy. It's just the tension of being in there and the teams and having the hooting and hollering and running his mouth the whole time. Just, and then they ask, hey, what are you going to do about it? If someone asks me if I'm going to ask them what they're going to do about it, I expect, it's time to quit talking
right.
But I forgot we're on TV and I kind of lost a little control right there. But, I mean, whatever. That's what happens. Nothing against him. I think he's a good guy. I mean, with the cameras and everything, it's entertainment. He's an entertainer, and he uses his mouth to get to where he's at. And I think it's great for the sport. It's really good. But it's enough. I think sometimes you don't know when this needs to stop and these need to go up. You know what I mean? I think that's where he was kind of shocked about it. But other than that, he's not a bad guy. You know.
Well, Cody, keep doing your thing, my man. I'm looking forward to that next fight. I really hope it's against John Lineker. What a great fight that would be, and I look forward to seeing your performance in that fight. That would be fantastic. Like I said, bantamweight's super interesting these days. So great stuff as always, my friend, and good luck in training and good luck in that next fight. I'm sure I'll talk to you whenever that happens. You want to say something?
I appreciate it, best. No, appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, man. It was awesome. Hope we get that Lineker fight.
All right. Good luck to you, my friend. There he is. No love. Cody Garbrandt joining us via Sacramento. Okay. We got to take a quick break. We're a little late to John Fitch, but he is here. He is joining us in studio. So this is what we're going to do. I know I told the guys in the back. Let's go inside the vault. Let's go to November of 2008. Let's go to AKA. Let's go to John Fitch and myself when I was a part of MMArated.com. This is right after that whole thing happened with him and Dana White. Super interesting to look back on. That's our clip inside the vault, and then we're going to be joined by the man himself, live and in living color, right here in studio. Here we go. .com at the American Kickboxing Academy in San Jose with the most talked about man in MMA in the last 24 hours. John Fitch. So, John, I'll start off. I hear there's a new breaking development in this story, so give it to me.
Communication kind of broke down with Dana. So we talked to Lorenzo, just got off the phone with him a little bit ago, straightened some things out, and came to an agreement. So we're going to move ahead, and I believe I'm going to be back in the UFC.
So you're back. Yeah. After all that, you are back in the UFC.
That's the case. We're going to sign off on the video, and I'm back.
So what was the sticking point? I mean, what changed between yesterday and today?
Like we said before, it was never even about the agreement or the contract. There was nothing we had a problem with that. It was the approach that we felt that Dana was a little hot-headed and was threatening us right off the bat. And, it didn't seem like a professional way to do things. So that was the big reason why we didn't sign off.
Have the terms of the agreement changed between yesterday and today?
No, and we never had a problem with the terms of the agreement. We were asking to renegotiate, but after talking to Lorenzo, it's not a big deal. More or less, it's just
getting a phone call there. No problem.
What was the question again?
The question was, have the terms of the agreement changed? Because obviously a lot of people were saying that maybe you didn't want to sign your life away, so to speak. So now just trying to figure out why things are different 24 hours later.
The reason for that is it was never really about the agreement. It was about the way Dana approached us with the agreement. It didn't seem professional, and we didn't want to sign off on being treated that way. But we talked to Lorenzo. He explained the agreement further. The video game, it's not a big deal. It's not like I've got video game companies knocking down my door to do video game deals with me. So a lifetime exclusive, it's not a big deal. And Dana gave us his word, or Lorenzo gave us his word that it's not a permanent thing. If we ever did want to leave, there's a possibility that they would allow us to leave and do something else. So it was never about the agreement. It was about the way it was brought to us.
And in the last 24 hours, Dana has actually echoed those sentiments that it wasn't about the agreement and that he's had some issues with the gym itself and that it's been more of a management issue. So does this mean that everything's cleared up between the UFC and AKA?
That's the thing is like Dana can't really blame the management for all this because they had been telling me from the beginning to sign off. But we, the fighters, felt that it was inappropriate the way they were talking to us. There might be miscommunication, whatever. But yeah, that was the whole principle of the whole thing. Was just we didn't want to be talked to in that way.
Now everything's done. You look back on the last 24 hours. Do you wish things could have been handled a little differently? And really, ultimately, does this change your relationship with Dana White?
I never had that much of a relationship with Dana in the first place. We've spoken briefly throughout my career, but I've actually spoken more with Lorenzo. Especially lately. So, as long as we have someone to go to and somebody to decipher what's going on, it'll be a big help.
All right, and so let's talk some good news. UFC 94, is it official? You'll be fighting Akihiro Gono?
Hopefully, yeah. We haven't worked out all the details, like the dust is still settling, but hopefully that should be the fight.
When you think back now, the last 24 hours, now we're talking about you fighting. Were you worried there for a second, ultimately, that maybe your MMA career could have been over because not a lot of welterweights outside of the UFC, not a lot of options outside of the UFC, and now things have changed on a dime here in the last 24 hours?
I've had to fight up in weight class before just to find fights because, early in my career, I couldn't find anybody to fight me at 170. So, I mean, if I would have put on some weight and fight other places, go to Japan, I'm a good fighter. I sell tickets. I was not worried in one bit. But I mean, UFC is my home. It's where I want to fight. So, I mean.
All right, back on the Mixed Martial Arts Hour. So that interview was November of 2008 at AKA. A crazy time for our next guest who joins us in studio. Also, a crazy time for me professionally. I don't know if I ever told you this, John. And by the way, welcome to the show once again. Great to have you back in studio. I got fired that morning from my job, and that was my last day.
I remember you did tell me.
Oh, I did tell you. Okay. So it was a very strange time. But when you look at that clip, I don't know when's the last time you saw it. What goes through your mind?
Probably
when it happened,
a day or two after we shot it. Yeah.
What goes through your mind?
Just the fear and the disbelief of the situation that just happened on my face in that time. Wasn't really free to speak at all with what was going on at that time.
It felt like you were a little rattled, right? Like
the look
on your eyes.
And being careful with what I said because I didn't want to, get fired again for saying the wrong thing.
In hindsight, do you wish you didn't do what you did?
In hindsight, I wish I would have not signed and left and went to Strikeforce.
Right. Was that on the table?
Yeah, definitely. And it'd be leaving them, and I had a good relationship with Scott Coker. It was definitely something I could have done, but I stayed to save my team and my management and everybody under my management's team.
Do you feel like you were pressured?
Yes, absolutely.
Really?
I was threatened.
By them?
By them.
By your managers?
No, by Zuffa.
No, I mean, do you feel like you were pressured, like, okay,
no,
guys?
I took it upon myself.
Okay.
My team was threatened, and my management and everybody they represented was threatened, and I felt that I needed to bite the bullet, take one for the team, and save them. That's what I felt.
But the decision to ultimately, come back to the
table
came to me. It was all you.
Correct.
Let's kind of work backwards here, of course, because you are in New York because you're fighting in Connecticut.
Yep, Yushin Okami.
Yushin Okami, which
World Series 24.
24 on NBCSN, Saturday night, main event. Solid card. Nick Newell, as I mentioned, I went through the card a little bit earlier. There's a little bit of an irony involved in that matchup because both of you were top 10 UFC guys, and when you were let go, it became this huge story. But you were in different weight classes. Never in a million years did I think John Fitch would fight Yushin Okami. Did you think of that as well when you were offered the fight?
Well, I actually had thought that it was a possible fight on the horizon when he got released from UFC also because in order to stay busy, I was considering fighting some at 185. And that's still kind of on the table.
Okay.
I understand it's hard to, when you're one of the big names in the company, it's hard to get you a fight every few months so that you're fighting 3 times a year or 4 times a year.
Right.
Because of the amount of time they put into promoting. So I was hoping that I could be a little bit more of a gatekeeper at 185 and then be a contender, possible champion at 170, and then still try to fight 3-4 times a year.
What do you think of him going down to 170? He's a big guy.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see him.
Are you concerned that he might not make weight?
I try not to think about. Not to think about those things. I try to think everybody's going to be professional and do their job. So, prepare for the best Yushin Okami there is, and take care of things Saturday night.
Considering what happened in his last fight, where do you think he's at in his career right now?
Still think he's tough. He's been tough. I mean, guys that fight the way Yushin fights and even the way I fight, we don't generally take that much damage. He has had some knockouts and taken some shots to the head more than I have in the most recent part of his career. But he's a durable guy, and I still think he's just as powerful and as and dangerous as he has been.
Are you thinking about that a little more these days as you get older and what we know about concussions and head trauma, all that?
I mean, a little bit, but I'm not somebody who's taken a lot of head trauma.
About it.
I'm not too worried about it. I mean, it makes me mad sometimes when people are talking about brain trauma and what we got to do to protect the guys. And ultimately, if we're getting paid a value for value exchange, if we're being paid correctly, it shouldn't matter. We know the risk. We know what's going to happen. If I want to fight until I'm slurred in speech and can't remember where I put my keys, It's my decision. If I want to do that, I should be allowed to do that. I could go climb a mountain with no ropes. I could ride a motorcycle with no helmet. I can do those things, but I can't go out and earn money if I want to. I don't think that's correct. If I sign off on it, if I know the dangers, if I'm educated correctly about what the dangers are and what the outcomes will be, I should be allowed to do what I want to do. The thing that should happen, though, is that I get paid a fair amount, a fair percentage of what's going down, because then, I'll trade some brain cells for some money for my children, so they don't have to work when they're older. That's fine with me.
Are you happy with what you're getting paid at World Series of Fighting?
I feel that they're doing a fair job, with what they're putting into the shows and what they're making, but again, one company does drastically control the market.
Well, by the way, before we get into all that, what's going on here? Your eye.
That's just makeup. Don't worry.
That's just makeup? All right. Who gave you that?
I gave it to myself.
Okay, fair enough. Where did you train for this fight?
I was in Vegas at One Kicks Gym, and then I went up to Dethrone Base Camp and trained with Koscheck.
Okay, so no more AKA for you?
No, I haven't been there since I trained some for the Hallman fight.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, how come? You were in the area.
Well, I moved last August to...
No, I know, but like if you're in Fresno, that's relatively close.
Relatively
right?
close, but Josh had some bigger wrestlers, and I wanted to work with. There's Josh, and then Chris Honeycutt is there also. So I wanted to work with big, strong, top game guys. And then at AKA, there's Rockhold and DC and Kane, but there's not as, the wrestlers aren't there, the same type of top game.
It's amazing how it's evolved, that gym, right, in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
From when you guys were there and now with these new faces. Are you on good terms with those guys?
Yeah, it's still family.
Okay.
Yeah. They don't have as much of a presence at welterweight as they did back in the day with me, Swick, and Koscheck and everybody. Even Rockhold's too big to mess around with anymore.
Right.
And
he's a 185er.
Yeah.
But he's gigantic.
But he's huge.
Yeah. Are you still a Zinking guy?
Yeah.
Okay, so they still manage your career.
Still manage my sponsors and fight career stuff.
So you probably know this unless you changed your number on me. I've reached out to you a few times in the last few months. I wanted to try to get you to clear the air on what happened after your last fight in December. Can you clear the air? According to California, you tested positive, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't say
According
why.
To California.
So where?
I've been restricted by my legal team not to speak of it.
Okay. Yeah. You've been very open about PEDs in the past. Yeah. So, is that tough for you? Because
it's something I want to talk about, but I
can't. Can't even touch it.
Not at this moment.
You don't want to even clear the air.
There's nothing to clear right now.
But do you feel like it kind of tainted your career at all? That people were saying, "Oh, you were talking about it, and now California's accusing you."
Again, I'm limited.
Okay. Are you appealing?
I'm limited with. Yeah,
okay,
I've said what I can say.
Okay, fair enough. So you're staying in Vegas. You're happy there?
Happy in Vegas. Really happy at One Kicks. I'm coaching the MMA team there. We have Chidi and Jikawani and Mark Dickerman are fighting in Bellator coming up in November. Chidi's a young guy, and I'm working with him a lot. I'm going to turn him into the Anderson Silva 170.
Really? That's high praise.
If he gives me the work that I'm asking of him, I'm going to turn him into that guy.
Is it not there yet? Like, do you feel like he's not 100% invested?
You're trying to get these, making people kind of believe in themselves and believe in the system and the madness that I'm teaching them can be hard. But, there's money to be made in the sport, and that's the biggest thing I'm trying to get across to these guys, getting them to show up every day, whether you got to fight or not, just show up.
Chidi, of course, the younger brother of Anthony and Jokubani. Better than him, you think?
He's a monster.
Yeah.
He's like 6'3". He's a scary dude when he comes forward.
So you'll be cornering him?
I don't know if I'm going to make it out to corner that fight. I'm going to try.
Okay. Are you going to eventually...
But we're sparring and working every day.
Really?
And,
wow. Yeah. Are you eventually going to be the head coach over there?
I'm the head coach of the MMA.
You are?
But it's Nick's gym, and he's the stand-up. We have Nick, and then Luke Chang is our Muay Thai coach, and then I'm doing the MMA.
How many more years do you actually want to fight for?
There's really no end in sight.
You still enjoy it?
Yeah, I like what I do. I like fighting. I like training. I like coming up with new systems and new strategies. It's just like Phil Browne always says, till the wheels fall off.
Right. Well, sometimes that's not the best way to go about it, right? But why not?
Why not? I mean, if you can, again, like I said, if you're making appropriate amount of money, why not? If I can afford somebody to push me around in a wheelchair later, that's fine.
So
I'm okay with it.
You've been a part of this lawsuit against the UFC.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that you were in Vegas not that long ago with Vanderlei Silva. I believe Stitch Duran was there and Juanito Ibarra, right?
Mm-hmm.
I saw on the video blog. Maybe other fighters were there as well. Kyle
that
Kingsbury.
was the Kingsbury. They were at the actual hearing.
Oh, that was an
for the
older
motion.
clip?
Yeah, I was with Vanderlei those guys. That was the ABC conference in San Diego.
Okay, my apologies.
Yeah.
I saw that in the Vanderlei blog, but it came out after, so I tied the two together. How did you get involved in this?
Just talking with the lawyers, the class action suit lawyers, and Rob Macy. He's actually reached out to me a number of times in the past. He reached out to me with that video clip. He was around at that time.
Okay.
He's been working on this in the Fighters Association for a decade now.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of went along with things because I knew that they were operating in a non-competitive type of environment. So I was supportive of going into the lawsuit. And then once I got into the lawsuit, I started talking with Rob about the Fighters Association stuff, and I really didn't get it, really didn't think it was a possibility. And then I went to the NFL Players Association meeting they had over a little over a year ago, about something like a year ago. But anyways, sitting through their meeting and their talks and everything that they were doing, it really let me know that it's possible, it's within our future, it's within our grasp, and we need it. We definitely need it.
How does one actually show up to an NFLPA meeting? Like, do you?
You need a special invite. Yeah.
You do. Do you ask them?
Rob, I think, had connections with Demarius Johnson.
Okay.
Who's the president? Yeah, who runs things? Yeah.
And when you saw that, that's what clicked.
Yeah, he did a history of basically he did because it was a rep training.
Okay.
I can't go into details about what they talked about, but it was the little history of where the association came from and why they were there and what they were doing it for. Socks and Jocks was the original. They wanted clean equipment and clean clothes.
That's all they cared about.
That was the first thing. Clean socks and Jocks. Because they're getting infections and sicknesses and whatever, and they couldn't play. So that was the stage one. And, the health and safety and the treatment of fighters after their career was like one of the first things that I was motivated in getting involved with about.
Do you feel like this, above all, and I'm wondering if this is what motivates you at this point, could be your legacy? Like,
I don't care.
You don't care about that
I
stuff?
I care about legacy. I care about my friends and my children not having to go through what I went through.
In terms of what? Because, do you want your children to be fighters?
No, but if they choose to do so, I don't want them to have to go through the same type of crap I had to go through. I don't want them to be bullied and forced into contracts and not given options or opportunities. There should be a free market. Fighters should be allowed to go to the highest bidder. And they should have some health care for their lives after their career.
Knowing what you know about fighters and the way MMA is structured as opposed to a sport like boxing, where you can kind of bounce around from promoters a little more. It's not so much like organizations or league.
Well, with boxing, they have a great deal more security now because of the Muhammad Ali Act, which was passed around in 2000.
Yeah. You'd like to see that in MMA.
Yes, that's one of the things we're also trying to do is get the Muhammad Ali Act to encompass mixed martial arts, because that would also afford some level of some protections against promoters like Don King, or I think what Zuffa is doing now.
In terms of what? What do you mean? Why connect King to
unfairly? Keeping most of the money to themselves, but mostly ranking your own fighters, matchmaking your own fighters, holding the belt in your own organization. All those things are very unscrupulous. Those lead to corruption. They lead to manipulation.
Again, knowing what you know about the fighters in this sport and the way it's currently structured, are you confident?
Absolutely. Because fighters are smart. Most of us are college educated.
Yeah.
Quite honestly. I think that's where a lot of the things and tactics that are used against boxers aren't going to work against mixed martial arts fighters. Because a lot of us have college educations. We know better.
Yeah. Why do you think it's taken so long to happen? I mean, maybe I shouldn't say so long. The sport is pretty young. I mean, let's be honest.
It's education. Education. Yeah. I mean, you talk to some guys, they don't even know that the Muhammad Ali Act exists.
Really?
They don't know. Fighters don't know.
Wow.
I've talked to boxers who don't know it exists. That's the big thing is education. I think we have a website, MMA fa.tv, and people, fighters can go to that and get all the education they need about what we're doing and the Muhammad Ali Act and what it would do for us as fighters.
Have you read a lot about, Marvin Miller and Kurt
Little bit,
Flood?
yes.
So is this something that's always interested you, or only later
No,
on?
just recently.
Okay.
I always knew that this kind of environment was unhealthy and not right. It's not professional. I never thought it was professional, never felt professional, and I didn't like it. And I started getting the education through Rob and other people, and started reading things and started seeing, the clear similarities between what happened in those other sports and what's happening in our sport right now. And it needs to change.
Do you have a timeline in your mind how long this could take?
I don't know. I mean, it took much longer for like football. It took like 20 years or something like that, and multiple lawsuits and things like that. But I think the way that things move nowadays with social media, it could go much, much faster, much quicker.
One big thing that we see in MMA quite often, managers being promoters.
Yeah.
Would you like that to end as well?
Yeah, that's a direct conflict of interest.
Right.
If you can manage and promote and give the rankings and belt, well, why wouldn't you just give it to the guy who sells the most tickets rather than the best athlete?
To a degree, that would affect World Series of Fighting as well, right?
It would affect a lot of people, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so do you get that a lot? Like these days, do you feel like all you're talking about is like, I mean, it's kind of funny that you're involved in this and you're fighting, because you can almost be like the spokesperson. You feel like you were talking more about this stuff than your actual fighting, and are you comfortable with that?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. People need to be educated, and if
because a lot of the people aren't fighters. I mentioned Vanderlei and stuff. You're one of the guys who's actively.
If people aren't talking, then nobody's going to be educated. Nobody's going to learn.
Right. Man, John Fitch, all grown up. Look at you, suit and all in front of us.
Not really, though. It's just a T-shirt and jeans.
You're wearing a jacket.
Yeah, I learned how to fake it.
You've certainly come a long way. Did you ever get to a point where you're like, enough of MMA? Where the fun went away?
No, I'm still having fun doing what I'm doing. I don't watch it as much as anymore. I don't read as much of the articles, whatever. But I'm still very involved.
How come you don't watch?
Again, because I know how it operates. I know.
But just for
I stopped watching a while ago because they're never the matchups I want to see.
Okay.
They're never, when you don't have an independent body doing the rankings, like you're never gonna get the right matchups.
Not even a World Series of Fighting card?
No, I mean they do. They're doing a good job, but at the same time, if we had the Muhammad Ali Act enacted in MMA, then they would have the ability to bid on and put on Kane versus Verdum.
Right.
They would be able to put the money up and have that as their main card on their fight.
Chael Sonnen is broadcasting.
Yeah.
Did you hear this?
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about that?
He's doing a great job.
He's great.
Yeah.
I think that's a huge addition to their broadcast team.
Yeah, I think he's doing a good job. But I think it would be even greater would be watch Chael and Vanderlei fight.
Yes, okay.
I think that would be even better to have them fight on World Series card. And under the Muhammad Ali Act, that would be a possibility.
If they want to. I feel like Chael is kind of a UFC guy, like he wouldn't. But if they want to.
I mean, under those circumstances, money would talk.
Sure. By the way, with this...
I mean, when you think about who's with the heavyweight, the Russian heavyweight champ right now in boxing.
Oh, Klitschko?
Klitschko, right?
Ukrainian.
Yeah, Ukrainian, I'm sorry. Don't want to upset any of the Ukrainians.
Yes.
But
we have a big fan base in the Ukraine,
yes.
by the way.
Well, him and the last guy he fought, I don't even know his name.
Okay.
Right? Somebody, do you know?
Well, I know he's fighting. Oh, God.
Well, see, you're having to think about it, right?
Yes.
Well, that guy, he's not that big of a draw.
Tyson Fury, I think he's fighting next. But go ahead, yes.
Well, I meant the last
yes,
he beat or whatever. But he's not that big of a draw, yet he still won fights, which granted him a title shot because he won.
Yeah.
So winning put him in that situation where he could draw. The IPO, the initial purse offering to that fight, to two guys most people don't even know who they are, and probably if you put a lineup on the wall of guys, you couldn't pick them off of it, was $23.3 million.
Where did they fight?
Somewhere in Russia,
okay.
Probably, or
Big
Ukraine somewhere.
He usually draws pretty well. Okay.
But it's still, it was a 75-25% split. So his opponent made $5 million. And those two in that card is nowhere near as exciting as Cain Velasquez and Fabricio Verdum.
How was the money divided throughout the card?
Somebody did a division of Mayweather's last
Okay.
a fight too, and there was a non-pay-per-view Showtime fight where the fighter made $150,000.
Really? The one against
His last
Manny
fight.
Pacquiao?
I don't think it was Pacquiao. I think it was his last fight.
Oh, against Andre Berto.
Yeah.
Just recently.
Yeah.
Okay. A non
non-pay-per-view
okay.
fight, which was put on Showtime.
Showtime.
The guy made $150,000.
You ever think about going to boxing, or the ship has sailed?
No,
on that
I just
one?
think that if we had the Muhammad Ali Act
Sure.
enacted into MMA, those pay opportunities would be possible for fighters.
There are some people who will.
Guys like Conor McGregor could
Yeah.
go to Ireland and do his own show.
Right.
And he could be a Mayweather making $100 million.
But not freely. I mean, he still has a contract. Like Mayweather couldn't break his. Well, he's a different one because he kind of is his own promoter, which.
But that would be a possibility under the Muhammad Ali Act. Conor McGregor could be his own promoter. George
Yes.
St. Pierre could go up in Canada and be his own promoter and put on a show.
Once his contracts expire with the UFC, it wouldn't happen overnight.
Or if those contracts are found to be illegal.
Right. You think the government will really get involved in MMA? Why do you think they don't ever look at it for any reason?
I mean, they would kind of only care about things that make them money, or if it's really sexy and stirs people's attention. If people pay enough attention to it, they'll get involved.
Have you seen what's going on in New York here?
Not recently, no.
You like a good conspiracy.
Yeah, I love conspiracies.
Yeah, I look at your Twitter feed. It's all a bunch of conspiracies there. Why are you so
The thing
into
about conspiracy theories, though, that they're real. There are...
Well, not always. They can't always
No,
be real.
there are things that people conspire to make happen.
Fair enough. Who killed JFK?
Well, there's a very strong correlation between George Bush Sr.
What?
And yeah,
JFK?
Yes.
George Bush Sr.
But yeah, he's been involved in some very shady things over
You
the
think
years.
he's the one that pulled the trigger?
No, but I think of course, he wasn't the one pulling the trigger.
yeah.
They always have other people doing this
I've actually
stuff
never
for
heard of
them.
this one. I'm fascinated with the
Yeah,
JFK story.
yeah.
Can you tell me the story?
I can't remember. He was
Okay.
somewhere. He was involved with the CIA, I believe.
And you think that they had a hit on him?
It's possible.
What?
There's a lot of possibilities.
Sure.
Our government does a lot of weird, terrible things.
How do you feel about the government?
I don't really like what they've been doing.
Do you vote?
I don't think there's a purpose or a point to it.
Why? If everyone said that, then no one would have a say.
Because they're all one party. It's all the same party.
You think so?
Yes. They distract people on little issues like gay rights, which
Yeah.
I'm not saying
Right.
trying to diminish gay rights, but people get emotional and worked up about it. But when it comes to your day-to-day life and your taxes, it doesn't affect you at all. What two people are doing with their life,
Fair enough.
it doesn't affect you. But spending $250,000 per bomb you're dropping on some person in the desert, that does affect you because that's your tax money. Right? The millions and millions of dollars they're spending on spying on you and going through your phone and making your technology less secure does affect you.
But wouldn't you agree that Donald Trump is the savior? He's the one that's going to fix all of this?
I have a feeling that he's just a distraction.
You think that he's going to pull out?
No, they'll use him as a distraction and then they'll sneak Hillary in where they want her.
But I mean, people have to vote. You think that's rigged?
What about George Bush Jr.?
Yeah.
There going the ordeal in Florida. His brother helped rig the election in Florida, supposedly, and then the popular vote didn't matter.
Sure.
So I mean, they're all one party. They're all they want to do.
But really,
is-
what do you think about Donald Trump running for president? And how about this?
I like watching the media squirm.
Squirm.
Squirm
What do you
because
mean?
he's not playing the normal role.
Sure. But do you think this is good that he's gaining so much attention and he's leading in most of the polls? Like, what does it say about
but
America?
he's gaining the attention, but the actual things going on in the world aren't getting the attention.
So is it bad that he's distracting?
I think we need somebody like he's taking a lot of attention away. I'm not a full-on Bernie Sanders supporter, but like he's at least bringing up some things that are affecting people.
What about Canada? That's a good place to live, right? Free health care.
Not if you're an indigenous person.
Okay, fair enough. Jeez. If you had your way, where would you live?
I want to live here. I want to live in America,
you
but
do?
free.
Okay.
I want people to use technology and live on their own. I think we can do fine taking care of ourselves. I don't think we need Big Brother looking over our shoulders all the time. I think we should stick to the Constitution and keep government small and focus on our own small communities.
Last thing, because we run out of time, unfortunately. I'd like to talk to you about all the screw MMA. I just want to talk to you about conspiracies.
Conspiracy theories.
UFOs, Bigfoot. we haven't brought it up, and I've made a promise to my audience to bring it up every single week. Nick Diaz.
Mm-hmm.
Surely you have a take on this.
Absolutely. I think it's just ridiculous. Ridiculous is suspension, the scrutiny placed against anybody who's a cannabis user. I'm a cannabis medical marijuana activist and patient myself.
Okay.
I have been since the shoulder surgery in 2011. It's just nonsense. Read something. There's plenty of science out there over the last 20 years from the medical movement in California and legalization in Colorado and other places. You can't find, if you look for it really hard, it's hard to find a negative article that has any substantive scientific evidence saying that there's anything bad with marijuana.
Did you see that hearing? The way they treated him?
Yeah, it's a joke. It's ridiculous.
This guy says Fifth Amendment, and they use that against him. Passes 2 of the tests, right? He passed
2 of the tests from a WADA
Yeah.
approved. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
It's unbelievable.
Sounds like there's a conspiracy going on.
You said it. But here's going back to my earlier point. How come
But
more
I also
fighters...
like to say about Nick Diaz is he is honestly kind of a hero. Anybody else, most people coming from the background in life that he came from,
Yeah.
and to be as successful as he is,
Yeah.
come on, like that's applaudable, easily applaudable.
I love the fact that all the fighters are rallying behind him, but is it enough? Is this a litmus test to what of a bigger picture? Like, everyone will agree that what was done to him was wrong. Yet I don't feel like I see people being asked.
I hope that it is clear evidence and a push from fighters to join the Fighters Association, because this is a clear example of where the Fighters Association would step in and do something. You can look at NFL Players Association and what they just did with Tom Brady, right? He did something that other players and coaches would probably be upset about, deflating the ball or whatever.
Yeah.
But they still stepped in and said, no, you're not suspending this guy for 4 games. Well, the Fighters Association would be able to do the same thing. They would go to the commission and say, hey, nobody in the Fighters Association is going to do business in your state. Remove this absurd penalty.
Will you not fight in Nevada until they rectify this?
You know what? Should I go on record and say that now?
No, I'm not telling you. I'm just asking you. I'm not pressuring you to do anything.
I would consider that not fighting in Nevada. Yeah.
I feel like you're having an epiphany right now.
Yeah, I mean, I know
you live there.
Well, because it's one of my things is I don't want to have other fighters just individually coming out and saying things. I want them to come together as a fighter association. No one fighter should have to be put out in front.
Henry Cejudo said this. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I saw that, and there was another female fighter, I think.
Yes, Leslie Smith.
Leslie Smith, yes.
Yeah.
And I support that, but I think it's stronger if they all come together in the association and we send one representative saying, we have 500 guys right here aren't fighting for you.
Well, hopefully that's being done behind the scenes. Strength in numbers,
Working
as
on
they say.
it, yes.
I wish you the best, my friend.
Thank you.
This Saturday from Foxwoods in Connecticut, it's John Fitch against Yushin Okami. Now, one of the interesting fights on that card pits Vinny Magalhães versus Matt Hamill. Matt Hamill.
Yep.
And now we're going to have another Inside the Vault clip like we just did a few minutes ago. This is my interview with Matt Hamill at UFC 121. It was October of 2010. He just defeated Tito Ortiz. Remember that fight?
Yeah.
Were you there for Kane versus Brock?
Yes, I was there.
There you go. Locker room interview with
two
Matt
bears
Hamill.
fighting.
Yes, it was great. Gave him a big scar. Unbelievable. So here it is. Interview with Matt Hamill following the biggest win of his career. And then we'll be back to answer your questions right here on the MMA Hour. Thank you very much, Mr. John Fitch. Ariel Helwani post-fight at UFC 121 with Matt Hamill, who defeated Tito Ortiz tonight. And Matt, congratulations on the victory. A lot of people had sort of predicted that the fight would play out this way. Did you think it would play out this way?
I just believe myself no matter what. I love to be the underdog. Because Tito, he's making a name for himself. He's a 5-time world champ. He's a former world champion. But now it helped me boost my career. So I'm just happy where I'm standing right now.
Kind of surprising since he's from this area. He was booed heavily by the crowd. The crowd very much in favor of you. Were you surprised at how much they cheered for you and booed him?
I didn't hear what people say boo, but you have to understand the deaf community. I have so many people from California and Fremont So it seems like they're like equal. And Tito's home state, and they have a deaf band. But they gave me all the Hammerstein. I don't know if you see them.
Did you see them?
Yeah, I saw that. Oh, that got me more motivated. So I don't want to let people down, especially my family, especially from Northcutt and Loveland in Ohio. So I'm just really happy. All the hard work is paid off.
Yeah, there were actually a bunch of those signs all across the arena, so clearly they're very much in favor of you. You talk about just in the first round, I actually scored it in favor of him. I thought he looked good, but then he seemed to get a little tired as the fight got on, and you really imposed your will. Is that how you saw it playing out?
I agree. Tito won the first round. I agree, totally. But when my heart started warming up, I've always, it's really weird. I've always doing the second round and trying to finish the fight. But when Duff came up to my feet, and I mean, he felt like I don't want to let them down, but he gave me all that like a class taking. Man, you gotta do this, but I watch him every lip, every movement when he said, I said, no problem. Lock and load, I'll be ready. So I make a movement. I don't want to make a mistake. So I finally broke his will. It's like second, third round. I was trying to finish fighting. Finally, I took him down. I haven't been doing a lot of takedowns, so, but now I'm starting to get more comfortable with takedown. And I mean, I've tried to go for submission, but I never go for submission, but I'm still trying,
Your game is certainly evolving, and it almost seems as though since the Rich Franklin loss, you've become a lot more confident, and you continue to develop every single time we see you out there. What happened to you mentally and perhaps even physically after that fight that gave you this confidence?
Well, it's just not really easy. I'm very friendly and I'm just too nice. And sometimes I have a hard time getting killed or anything, and I can't get aggressive. There's only two fighters in the world that I'm really close to, and then I can finish the fight and I can't be really aggressive. But now I'm starting to learn my lesson, and I don't want to make the same mistake against Rich Franklin. I mean, fighting, I will have to worry about Rich Franklin and Tito. The other fighters I'm not really close to, so I mean, the pressure's off my shoulder. So I just want to, get everything out of the way, So I mean, it's really an honor to fight with the former teacher. So I'm the only fighter to fight with the former teacher, and Tito is pretty good. I mean, he did a lot of kids and try to go for takedown, But I have a good hip, and I have a good wrestling background, and I have more tools on the table than Tito, But I want to thank Tito for all the fight. So there's no question.
He hasn't won since 2006. Do you think he's done? Do you think he has a future in the UFC now after this loss?
Yeah, but you have to understand, Tito fought a lot of fighting. He was really close in the top 10 fighters.
Rashad Evans, Forrest Griffin.
Machina. They're all real close fights. It's real close.
Rashad Evans.
Yeah. I can't pronounce the name. Oh, it was a draw. It's draw. So I'm more than that, So I'm gonna go back home and work on my mistake. I have a top-notch training and just try to improve from my mistake. Of course, I make a lot of mistakes, but I'm just smiling. I'm just getting more comfortable, But the bottom line, I just wanted to fight, So I just want to, ease my mind.
Two final questions. First, a little satisfying, considering some of the things that he said about you before the fight, to beat him this way.
Well, I don't know, but it didn't really bother me at all, But I was hoping, I was hoping that the effect through the deaf community, But I mean, if a lot of people making fun of me when I was a kid, it didn't really affect me at all, because I look up to my grandfather. He's done mistakes, just didn't know them. And I mean, I would have a temper problem or an emotional problem, But I was hoping to say more trash to me instead of to the deaf community. But I mean, I understand that's his job. That's his basically to say a lot of trash to the deaf community, But the more I'm healing, the more I'm starting to get my heart on fire, Tito, you can't stay there. So let's bring it on one-on-one, man-to-man. So I got to the business done.
And you proved your point tonight. Final question, is there anyone you want next?
Okay. I let the UFC take care of it right now. I just wanted to fight, But I know the next fight is not going to be very easy. So I'm just go back home and we film everything. So it's my birthday, so I want to celebrate. Okay.
Happy birthday. Today?
Thank you. It was October 5th, but I haven't celebrated, but I've been really training.
Well, you deserve it. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Inside the Vault with Matt Hamill. He returns on Saturday. He is coming out of retirement. Last fought in October of 2013, so that's a familiar face on the World Series of Fighting card. It airs live on NBCSN. Thank you very much to John Fitch and the WSOF guys for stopping by today. All right, questions, comments. New York Rick, are you there?
I'm here.
I'll start with a question for you, as
Sure.
I've been bringing this up all show long. So Mazel Tov to you. You are getting... Okay, I keep saying this.
Yeah, I
You're
don't know
not
what to
getting
call it
married.
either.
Your wedding is this Saturday.
That's right.
Now, here's my big question. So today's my anniversary.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
How many years is this?
7. I said at the top of the show it'd be nice if you paid attention from time to time. Now, listen. What's your anniversary? Is it October 17th or is it when you actually got married?
Well, we'd have a few. So.
Oh, come on.
Well, when we first got together.
Oh my gosh, we're still going to celebrate that?
Yeah. What do you mean?
Give it 5 years.
I've been together with my girl for 10 years.
No, I understand, but you can't go through all. You got to pick one anniversary and just stick to it. Trust me on this. It's a piece of advice here. Good advice. Trust me.
I guess from this moment on, this would probably be the anniversary, right?
Okay.
This is the big ceremony. This is the big shebang. But my wife will for sure have me remembering all 3.
Are we nervous? Are we excited? How are we feeling?
I mean, I'm already married, so what's the nerves? You know, the nerves are gone. It's more just a celebration for friends and family.
Now, why not do it in one shot? Why go the unconventional route here?
Well, I mean, it was beneficial to get married first for timing reasons, because I would get health insurance through my wife. So that worked out well, and I asked her, at the time, and it just made sense to do it then. And then the wedding was something she wanted to plan. She didn't know when she wanted to do it, so it made sense for that.
Well, it's all very exciting. I wish you guys the best. Now, 2 other things I need to clear up. Is it not true that you were in Denver this past weekend for Glory?
It is true. Well, I left Saturday morning, but
sure.
The end of the week, yeah.
I mean, how old are you?
I am 28.
28. Missing flights. I mean, what's going on here? What's the skinny?
What do you mean missing flights?
You missed your flight home.
No.
Yes, that's the rumor.
Who told you this?
Please address it. Why did you miss your flight home?
No, who told you this?
I heard you were stranded for 6 hours.
No.
You
false.
Somebody
fed you false information.
Did you go to Supercuts?
No, sports clips.
How does someone a week before their wedding trust Supercuts to cut their hair?
Sport clips.
Sounds even worse.
Don't you dare
I saw your
question
selfie.
the integrity.
Was the barber wearing?
Wait a minute. I have a beef here.
Yes.
Selfie.
Yes.
The word selfie.
That was a selfie.
No, you have to take the picture yourself for it to be a selfie.
The one of you getting your hair cut?
Not a selfie.
Who took it?
Professional photographer took that.
BS. On your Twitter?
Tim Kim, the man.
Why is he all up in your face? It was a super close shot.
He was taking care of business.
If you have the iPhone, the new iOS, which I don't like, it screwed up my phone, but there's actually a selfie album now that they've created. Did you see that?
Yes, I did.
Now, there are some pictures in there, if you look, that actually aren't selfies, but they're super close, so I guess it just thinks that it was super close.
Anything taken with the front camera is a selfie.
Does it know that?
Yeah.
Well, it looked like a selfie to me, all right?
Dang.
Anyway.
Dang, Tim.
Anyway.
You got to get at Ariel. He's questioning your photography
Was the
skills.
barber wearing a name tag?
Yes.
That's a problem. I'm just gonna say before your wedding.
Listen
I mean,
to me,
thankfully it looks okay.
I was not.
It's a bit of a problem.
I was not gung ho about it. I was a little hesitant when it was proposed. But you gotta look right and tight, and the people at Sports Clips in Glendale took care of me. You know who gets his haircuts there?
Who?
One George Carl.
George Carl.
Yeah.
He still lives in Denver?
Well, I imagine at one time he got his haircuts there. Apparently he's a frequent patron.
Okay, fair enough. Are we going to stick with the bun for the wedding?
That's a good question.
Here we are, asking all the hard questions.
I told my wife...
At least you appreciate my questions, unlike other people today.
Oh, no, I love it.
Okay.
throw the fastballs at me. My wife doesn't want me to, but I let her have the. We did essentially, what's it called? What's it called when you propose? The photos that you take beforehand.
I don't know, the photos you take beforehand.
I guess whatever. So we took photos after. We were already married, but we took photos in anticipation of the wedding, and I didn't have my hair in the
well, that was a
top
long
knot
time
at
ago.
that point. No. This was earlier this year, August maybe.
Okay.
So the compromise is I told her I'm gonna have my top knot for the wedding.
Oh wow.
And now she's saying, but our kids are gonna see it. Blah,
Yeah,
blah,
you're
blah.
definitely gonna regret this in like 10 years.
I'm like, let our kids see all its glory.
All right. Good luck to you with that.
Thank you.
Now let's answer some questions. Now that
Okay,
we
let's
got that
start
out
with
of the way.
Twitter. We got one question from Twitter today, and then we're jumping to the website.
Okay.
Should the UFC immediately book Faber against Dillashaw Cruz if he defeats Saenz in December?
Should the UFC
Oh, engagement photos. Thank you, Bill Steinmetz.
There you go. Always count on him. Should the Whoa, I lost it. What was it again?
Should the UFC book Dillashaw Faber?
Got a little
right away.
Regardless of what happens in the Cruz fight?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, of course. That's the money fight. I mean, look, if TJ beats Cruz and Faber wins against Frankie Saenz, is there anyone? I guess there's the Rafael Sunsao fight, but what's going to make them more money?
And
right?
and also Faber versus Cruz is also a fight people would want to see.
You're right, Faber. This guy, I love when people talk. I know you get.
I hate it. For Bisping and Faber.
Oh yeah, Josh Donaldson hit a first inning home run. My man, bringer of rain. Okay, I'm sorry.
I feel like this is the least MMA show we've ever done.
What are you talking? By the way, someone keeps calling me from an unknown number. Literally,
we went into conspiracy theories at the end with John Fitch.
Well, I mean, I had to go
talking
down
about
that
my
road.
wedding. Now we're going into baseball, right?
I'm
Is that
sorry.
baseball? I don't even know.
You don't know about bringer of rain MVP? Come on.
I could not care less about baseball.
Well, you're missing out. You got to book that fight. I mean, look at it. Look at where it's at now, and just think about where it's going to be in 8 months. It's a money fight. And listening to TJ today, you think he doesn't want that fight?
What's great is TJ set himself up against a bunch of people at Team Alpha Male. And he could fight all of them.
Cody Garbrandt licking his lips. And I will say this about TJ Dillashaw. I feel like he's handling the situation, at least publicly. Man, should I just answer the phone? I've literally had 8 times.
Please answer it on air. Let's hear it.
Let's do it. Hello? Hello?
I think it's that same guy whose
Hello?
number you had for Joe Duffy.
Yeah. That's very annoying. Can you stop calling me? TJ, I think he's handling a very tough situation as well as can be. And look, I'm just happy that they're just saying how they feel. It's awkward. It's probably going to get even more awkward. There's no escaping this thing. And you could see the animosity there with Duane. And obviously Uriah has his issues. Even Cody, you could tell, is sort of licking his lips again. Stop it. I'm just gonna close my phone. It's inevitable. If it doesn't happen in 2015, now, if Uriah loses, I think it might be tough, don't you think? You can't make the fight, right?
For sure you can. For sure you can.
All right.
Uriah Faber, I mean, he just lost. Did he lose? Like, I don't feel like Uriah Faber has any ranking or status to really keep intact. He really just at this point, it's just fights we want to see Uriah Faber in, and that's one of them for sure.
Yeah.
I think if he goes on a 3-fight losing streak, you could still sell this. The heat will be there.
They are most certainly they are most certainly they're happy. They're happy over there at Zuffa. There's no doubt about it.
It's a red panty night, as one might say.
Yes. Oh gosh. All right. What else we got?
Next question. How important? We're moving over to the website. How important is it for an MMA gym to have a UFC champion? With all the talk of TJ leaving Team Alpha Male, in your opinion, why is it a big deal having a champ train at your gym? Is that an important thing?
I don't know.
And does that affect? Is that affected by the fact that Alpha Male had so many guys who couldn't finally make that climb, and now the one who did is gone?
That's maybe a question for them. I think this is a very unique situation. I truly feel like those guys are not jealous guys at all. Like, I don't think this had anything to do with TJ getting the UFC belt first and this. I mean, have you ever spent some time? Just listen to Uriah. He doesn't feel like a jealous guy at all, and I would try to bring this out in him. Like, really, is it possible that you're not jealous in the slightest? Chad Mendez as well, Joseph Benavidez as well, all those guys. I really think this had everything to do with two sides. There was the Duane side, there was Uriah's side, and TJ felt like Duane got him to this point, molded him into the fighter that he is today, and he had to make that decision. Oh, and by the way, I'm also going to get paid to train over there, and I'm going to be the top dog over there. I think he wanted to try to continue doing both, and I 100% understand why Uriah said that's just not going to be possible, especially when you have these 135ers there. You have at least people sending me tweets, 3-0 Blue Jays, baby. Yes. You have these guys like Cody Garbrandt and Uriah Faber. It can't happen. You can understand that. And by the way, a guy who has a reputation of being a bit of a hothead and injured. Oh, Chris Holdsworth as well. You can't. It was never going to happen. It was
Benavidez could go back up.
Yeah, it was idealistic.
John Dodson. Who should welcome him back to the 135-pound division if Dodson wins whatever fight they do give him in devastating fashion? Do you think the UFC should throw him in a title match with TJ, assuming TJ gets past Cruz? So, what would you rather see, Dodson or Faber?
Can I just say one thing right off the bat? I feel like 135 in the blink of an eye has become so interesting, right? I mean, remember
absolutely. We thought Hendon Barao had it on lock for quite a while.
Dillashaw, Dotson, Faber's still there, Cody's there, Cruz is there, Asuncau's coming back, Aljamain Sterling, Caraway is always somewhat of a lightning rod, Johnny Eduardo is coming back. I feel like I'm missing.
And let's not forget that Hendon Barao has only lost to TJ.
He's going up to 145.
Oh, that's right.
That's right.
Whoops.
So I feel like we need to figure out this whole alpha male thing, and then Dotson is there, but let him fight once or twice and build him up. I don't hate Dotson Garbrandt. I think they'll probably do Garbrandt Lineker. I mean, if both guys want it, why not do it? But Dotson.
I think Dotson, if he keeps beating the right drum.
Yeah. The bigger story out of Dotson is he recognized that he's in purgatory at 125, so he's not going to get a title shot anytime soon, and he already beat the champ.
Yep.
If he didn't move up after the loss to DJ, it would have been incredibly dumb. This makes all the sense in the world. A brilliant decision by him and his manager.
Brendan Schaub has Big Browne, that's his nickname, quit at the right time. Was he realistically ever going to crack the top 15? Love the show. Keep up the great work, Wes.
I don't know about that. And honestly, I don't know if that had anything to do with his reasoning. He said on the Joe Rogan podcast on Friday night that it was about, his rising podcast career, entertainment opportunities. I believe he's filming a pilot, he said, and also the Reebok deal, which he's been quite open about. But I'm happy you brought up my good pal Brendan Schaub, because it was last week during this show that people kept telling me that him and his co-host Brian Callen were talking about me, as the kids say. They were throwing shade on my reputation, and someone a few days later actually sent me the little clip of them talking on the podcast with Duane Ludwig. And actually on my way home on Monday, I sent Brendan a text saying, thanks for the plug today. Thanks for talking about me with the smiley face. And he was like, oh, it was total misunderstanding. People were trying to make it out to be a big deal. And I was like, cool, man, I'm a big fan of you guys, a big fan of what you've been doing as of late. All the best. No hard feelings certainly here. Then someone sent me the clip. And as I texted him after hearing the clip, I was very disappointed in what both of them had to say. For Brendan to say that the reason I had Uriah on and not Duane on was because I'm somewhat of a UFC shill or I favor the UFC is absolutely ludicrous. What does this have to do with the UFC versus anyone? Dana White has gone on the record multiple times in saying that he is a big fan of Duane Ludwig. Duane Ludwig was a big part of the UFC and retired as a UFC fighter. Dana White even, I remember, sort of endorsed Duane Ludwig as coach of the year before he won it the first time. So I don't really see how this can be a UFC issue. I expect that line of thinking from, one of the dummies on Twitter. I don't expect it from two very talented and professional guys on a very popular podcast. And Duane coaches a UFC champion who he appears to have a good relationship as well. So why would I favor? In fact, I feel like he has had a lesser good relationship with Uriah than he's had with those guys. So I don't see where the connection comes from. And then for Brian to keep hammering this point that, I'm not being a good journalist after saying repeatedly that he didn't hear the interview and wasn't quite sure what was going on. I know he's not trying to be a journalist, but it just felt, I don't know, it felt very disappointing to hear two guys on a Fox show, no less, try to, kick me in the balls like that. And I said that to Brendan, I know you're not a journalist. I know this stuff may not mean as much to you, but this is my reputation. This is my livelihood. This is how I make, if people don't believe me and trust me, I'm in a bad spot. So for you guys to just carelessly throw this around. Oh, and by the way, he said that, Duane, as he said on the show, that I was big timing him or brushing him off. And that's, the side that they were going with. Well, let's practice what we preach and ask me for my side of the story. Again, one last time, and I'll never talk about this again. Duane did an interview with Fox. Uriah wanted to respond. He came on this show. Duane didn't like what Uriah said. We called him up, did an article about it. And I guess he didn't like that article too. How many times are we going to go back and forth? I said, I'll call you right now. I'll have someone call you right now before you even leave the studio to get your side out. And then we could, move on from this. How many times are we going to go back and forth? He didn't like the article, wanted to come on. I said, look, we have 299 and 300 coming up. When this gets out of the way, when these shows are done, I will have you on 301. You have my word. That's on text. And apparently that was blowing him off. So, again, I'll apologize for that again, but I was disappointed in those guys. And Brendan, for the record, said that Brian apologized, and I said, apology accepted. It was a slip of the tongue, whatever. But when I heard it, I was hurt by what they said about me.
Right time to step away for Schaub?
That's his call.
Based on the, podcasting stuff that he's doing and all these other things, I think it's a good idea.
At this point, I mean, if you're passionate about that stuff more so than fighting and training, I think he expressed himself very well on that podcast with Joe. I think it's very you have this new venture, this new life, these new opportunities. It's exciting. Why not try to tackle that? And if the MMA stuff is still there and that's still, fire that is burning and all this stuff kind of goes away, then yeah, go for it. But if you can make more money doing that stuff and you're excited about it and more passionate about it rather than getting punched in the head, then yeah, it's the right time.
For sure.
Oh, pardon the pun.
Next for Hendricks. What do you think the next move for Johny Hendricks should be? Do you believe he can resolve his weight issues and reliably make 170, or would you prefer to see him make a move to middleweight?
Again, it's weird for us to say when we want a guy to move or not, but he's putting his body through a lot of trauma. And I'd like to see him hook up with, if it's not Dolce, if that ended poorly, I'd like to see him hook up with a George Lockhart or one of the trained nutritionists out there, because I don't know if I feel comfortable with him doing it on his own. It would be good maybe if he gets like a 185 sort of tune-up fight to get back in there and then can go back down sort of like Kelvin Gastelum. He doesn't, I get why he doesn't want to do that, but what's, I don't know, what's worse?
Those 185ers are pretty big though.
They are big. I mean,
Dolce outlined it pretty well, I think, when we had him on the show. And it seemed like Johny was open to working with a nutritionist again. So I'd like to see him stay at 170. I just think he has to be a little smarter about his cut, which this is probably a big wake-up call for that.
Let's not forget, not that long ago, Johny Hendricks was on top of the world, and a lot of people, including myself, thought he beat George St. Pierre, the greatest of all time in that weight class and arguably ever. So he's not far off. He just needs to figure it out. And I think the main thing for him is don't get so big in the quote-unquote off-season. You have to have some discipline. You look at other guys, like I see what some of these other guys are eating, and it's commendable just how disciplined they are. He has to be that disciplined himself.
What are your thoughts on the building feud between Nick Lentz and BJ Penn? Did you hear Lentz's poem/promo on Chael's podcast last week? Any interest in seeing BJ return, or do you agree he should stay retired?
and that covers everything. I don't want to see BJ Penn fight again. You're the biggest BJ Penn fan out there. Do you echo my sentiments?
Don't want to see it.
Don't want to see him. I don't want to see him in this sort of grudge match. And, my colleague, Chuck Mindenhall, wrote a fantastic piece about Douglas Crosby.
That's
it
right.
was posted on MMAfighting.com, this really interesting piece about the mind of this man. And I thought he did another incredible job. He touches on, the relationship between Doug and Chael and other people. I think saying that Nick wrote that poem is inaccurate, if you catch my drift. My guess, but that's the way I feel about the matter. I like...
Conspiracy theories. Let's get John Fitch back.
By the way, I'm a fan of build-up. I'm a fan of all that stuff, but it has to feel real. It has to feel authentic. That's not Nick Lentz. When Nick Lentz showed up to that fight in Sacramento with the bow tie and just looked a little different, said a little different things, that was perfect. I don't need to see Nick Lentz doing poems and things of that nature. That's not who you are. And I don't want to see BJ Penn fight again. So count me out of all this.
Well, kudos to whoever wrote it. I thought it was entertaining. It was pretty funny.
Was it?
I thought it was okay.
As a BJ Penn fan, you're going to admit
Look,
that?
I mean, I'm going to be unbiased here. I thought he did a good... If you were going to take digs at BJ Penn, those were the digs to take, for sure.
Yeah.
UFC 193
was... Wait, BJ Penn is a freaking legend.
Well, I mean, we're not comparing careers here.
No,
we're just saying,
I'm just
at
saying.
this moment,
BJ
with
Penn,
that poetry...
No one should be digging at BJ Penn.
BJ Penn has nothing to prove. That's why he shouldn't fight Nick Lentz.
But how about some respect for the legends of yesteryear?
You're trying to sell a fight? No respect for anybody.
Fine.
UFC 193. What was your initial reaction to the full UFC 193 promo? Better than UFC 189's Las Vegas promo. We didn't have a chance to talk about this promo last week.
We didn't have a chance to talk about this. I have watched this. I think I watch this promo every night before I go to bed. This promo is without a doubt. If you are one of the unlucky ones who has not seen the UFC 193 promo just yet, you're missing out. It was amazing. It really exemplified why the Ronda Rousey experience has been so special, because when did we ever think we can highlight this kind of journey from two completely different athletes with different backstories for an upcoming UFC mixed martial arts fight? It was inspiring. It was emotional. It got me even more interested in the fight. I mean, it was great. It just hit on all the right nerves. The way they released it via Ellen's Twitter was brilliant. And then everyone's belly aching, bitching that there's not, both sides of the story. And then, of course, the next day they come out with the Holly Holm version. I thought it was great. Do you not agree?
I do agree. Great promo. Fantastic stuff.
And Ronda's mom was in it, and her sister was in it.
That's right.
Which made it even cooler, in my opinion.
I just think they've gotten into kind of a rut with the same style promo, and this was a nice change of pace.
Please, no more yelling. No more same cookie cutter stuff. I know all the events can't have this sort of... They can't get this treatment. I mean, it's very expensive. Can you imagine how much money they put into that particular promo? It must be incredible. They did it at Etihad, the part where they're in the octagon with the fake Herb Dean. Very expensive, but it feels cool, like the Jose Aldo one, which was fantastic with Conor when they upped their game and put on something like this. Just so beautiful. Something that I would show to anyone, including... I mean, I showed my wife, my mom. Amazing.
Does anyone really care about Nick Diaz, or is it just lip service? Is everybody blowing smoke? It's very clear, quote-unquote, we the people don't care about Nick Diaz and the problems he brought upon himself. Only 2 days left, and still 22,647 signatures short. Even Cher, tweeting to her millions of followers, didn't get it done. Do people truly care about this?
I wonder how many of those followers actually clicked on it, because, it's not the audience.
I'd also argue that falling 22,674 short is, disappointing. But alternatively, over 70,000 people have signed this already for Nick Diaz, which is incredible.
Let's focus on the positives here. Okay, point number one. Nick Diaz is one of the most popular fighters in MMA history. The bond that he has with his fan base, as does his brother Nate, is second to none. He has an incredibly loyal fan base. These people will watch, support him, stick up for him no matter what, as they continue to do so. So, yes, people care about Nick Diaz. That being said, as I've said on this show, this has nothing to do with Nick Diaz at this point. This has everything to do with John Fitch and Henry Cejudo and Ronda Rousey and Travis Browne and Matt Mitrione and Aljamain Sterling. This has to do with a commission abusing its power. And who's the next fighter that they're going to do this to? You know, what's his name? What's her name? This has become much bigger than Nick Diaz. And if anyone, and I see some people still saying like, oh, Nick did this himself. What did he do to himself? A, he has a medical marijuana license. B, in my opinion, he didn't break any rules because he passed 2 tests from the WADA accredited labs, failed 1 from the non-WADA accredited labs. So there's a sliver, even more so than a sliver of doubt out there. And C, they can't even prove when he smoked marijuana or anything like that. Maybe it was in California when it was legal for him to do so. So, just the whole thing with the Fifth Amendment and their behavior and what they were saying in the hearing was just, it still gets me all riled up. It still bothers me, and we won't stop. So it really has nothing to do with Nick. You could have put anyone in there. You could have put, my least favorite fighter, I can't even think of who it is, in that seat, and I'd feel the same way. Abuse of power is abuse of power. No due process is no due process. This is wrong. So I can't speak for everyone, but this is why I feel so strongly about it.
Speaking of the fallout and how it might affect other fighters, what do you expect the outcome to be from Wanderlei Silva's rehearing with the NSAC, which is due to take place at the end of the month? Do you think the backlash the NSAC has received over the Nick Diaz situation is likely to influence the outcome of the hearing in any way, perhaps resulting in a more lenient punishment for Wanderlei?
Well, this is a very interesting development because it could give us some insight into how they're going to deal with this whole situation. You know what I mean? I mean, it really could tell us, is Nevada capable of saying, you know what? Upon further judgment, we messed up, and we're willing to admit that.
Well,
yeah.
If they were willing to do that, they'd rescind his suspension and alter it.
Who are we talking about?
Nick Diaz.
No, I'm talking about the Wanderlei thing. Could be a very interesting litmus test because I believe that will be resolved before the Nick Diaz situation will be resolved. So if they're willing to say we're willing to look at this again, and maybe we jumped the gun, maybe we were too aggressive. I mean, look, Wanderlei Silva was given a lifetime ban. And he ran away, yes. But A, he wasn't a licensed fighter, so he was under no obligation to take that test. And B, he never actually failed a test. Now, the guy who failed 2 tests was Chael Sonnen, and he was given a 2-year ban, right? So how do you justify the lifetime? You can't. You could justify a punishment, but to take away the man's livelihood, which is essentially what they're doing to Nick Diaz, 5-year, but I mean, by the time he comes back, he's going to be almost 40 years old. So if they relent and they look at the facts and say, all right, we were wrong, you deserve 2 years or whatever, that could give us some insight into what they're going to do with Nick Diaz if it goes back to them in the near future.
Well, what I'm saying is if they actually felt that way, they could do it for Nick Diaz now. Why wait until after the Wanderlei situation? If that's the way they were leaning now, they could rescind it and then give him a new suspension.
Yeah, but they have to have the hearing again.
They couldn't call a hearing?
They usually go, based on when it's scheduled. They're not going to get up in the morning just to address this.
Okay, last one from the website.
We got to promote this on Fight Pass. We got to get the airtime, get the haircut, some makeup,
Sports Clips, Glendale, Colorado.
Yeah, get there. I believe marijuana is legal over there. And by the way, this coming from a guy who, is no marijuana smoker.
Sure.
Far from it.
With Ronda's movie about her life coming out, which fighter would you like to see have a biopic movie in the future?
Oh, my.
Wait, before we go on, do you call it biopic or biopic?
I think it's a biopic.
I call it biopic, but I've heard it both ways, so I just was curious.
Biopic sounds like some strange disease or like a
medical treatment of some sort. Yeah.
Man, putting me on the spot here at the 3 hour and 45-minute mark. Or 50
Whose life story do you want to see in MMA?
There's so many. Obviously, the obvious ones like Connor has a great backstory. Weidman has a great backstory with Hurricane Sandy. Wouldn't be surprised if something happens there. Nick Lentz. Actually, Nick Lentz does have a really great
backstory.
Shout out
to Chuck
Mindenhall. Sage Northcutt. I feel like
that would be the shortest movie ever.
Has accomplished enough in his career to where it's time to.
I think they put out that it was the clip
Vine?
Of him doing a flip.
Was it a Vine?
Yeah, it was the Vine of him doing a flip. That was his.
I just love that guy.
He's incredible. His energy
is just unbelievable, and the fact that he keeps calling everyone Mr. Dean, Mr. White. That takes a lot of concentration. Very impressive.
Very impressed. All right, wait.
Oh yes.
We're gonna give you some odds. First of all, you asked about the main event. So I'm gonna give you. Actually, let's save it. Right? We're still a little ways out.
No.
You want to do it?
Just say yeah, because I asked about it.
Okay, so main event. Who's the favorite?
Wait, we're talking about Ireland?
Yeah.
I thought you were asking about Fitch and Okami.
Weren't you asking about?
Yes, I'm kidding. That's a good question. Joseph Duffy against Dustin Poirier. Poirier?
Joseph Duffy is a big favorite.
Really?
Minus 245. Poirier plus 205.
Wow.
I think essentially what's happening here is they feel like the book is a little bit written on Dustin Poirier, which I would tend to disagree with.
Wow.
But I guess by MMA math, Joseph Duffy beat Conor McGregor, who beat Dustin Poirier. So, got to go with Irish Joe Duffy.
Wow. That surprises me, no?
That surprises me.
Yeah.
I thought if not the favorite, he'd be a little bit closer, Dustin Poirier.
What about Rothwell Miocic?
That's the question for you.
Oh, because you saw it already?
I've seen them all.
Miocic.
Yeah, big favorite. Minus 335, Rothwell plus 275. How about the returning Reza Madadi versus Norman Park?
Park.
Yeah. Minus 280 for Park, plus 240 for Reza. Darren Till versus Nicholas Dalby.
Till.
Slight underdog, plus 115. Dalby minus 135. Really close fight.
Okay, let's save the rest for next week.
Let's do that. Perfect. We'll leave off with Patty.
Patty, give me Patty. Give me Patty.
You want one more?
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. My
Patty
main man,
Houlihan
Patty. Yes.
and Luis Smolka.
Oh, yes. This is a grudge match. Remember you asked for him after Scotland?
Who is it?
I got to go with the hooligan.
Another super, super razor close one. Smolka, very minor favorite, minus 120.
Oh.
Houlihan, even money.
Sadly, I will not be in Dublin. I'm sorry, but I know a lot of people asking me and wanting me there. I'd like to be there as well, but you know what? Can't always get what you want.
I don't think the odds for WSOF are out yet, but I imagine they will be sometime this week.
Let's get some Rick's picks before your wedding, all right?
For what fight? For WSOF?
For World Series of Fighting,
Well,
yeah.
there's no odds. What am I supposed to...
No, when they come out.
Oh, on Twitter?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good. Well, maybe we'll watch for my wedding.
But your wedding's during the day.
Yeah, that's okay. We can set up the party.
Well, I'm not staying there that long. It's not get crazy. All right, we're done.
That's it.
Yes. Again, mazel tov to you and your lovely wife on your wedding this Saturday. And again, happy Thanksgiving to all my fellow Canadians. 4-0 Blue Jays. I was just told this is going to be a great day, my friends. You can hit my music. What a show, huh? What a show. Yes. Feeling good. Episode 301. They said we couldn't top 300. We come back with 301 with the 1-2. If you don't know, now you know. Often imitated, never duplicated. There is only one Mixed Martial Arts Hour. Recognize. Now, at 12:40, we spoke to TJ Dillashaw. That was a very long time ago. By now, he's probably already in Colorado. He's probably already found a house, a mortgage. He's already cut his lawn. But I thank him for coming on. Insightful stuff. Appreciate it greatly. Thank you very much to Duane Ludwig. Appreciate his time as well. Hopefully all is well between Mr. Ludwig and I. Thank you very much to Johny Hendricks. Always a pleasure talking to him. Thank you for clearing the air. Speaking of which, thank you very much to Travis Browne as well. Best of luck to him in January. Super Sage Northcutt. A breath of fresh air. It's just fun saying that name. Super Sage Northcutt. Good luck to him in Montreal. I'm sure you'll hear from him again in the very near future. Joseph Duffy, good luck to him as he faces Dustin Poirier in less than 2 weeks. Can't wait for that. UFC Fight Pass. Should be a lot of fun. Oh, Cody Garbrandt, good luck to him. Thank you very much for his time. And John Fitch gave me these signed gloves, World Series of Fighting gloves. I'm going to give it to one of you if you play your cards right. John Fitch, thank you very much for stopping by. Good luck on Saturday. I actually have 2 signed gloves, so you can start begging from now. All right, we're done. If you missed anything, check it out. iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, all that good stuff and more. SoundCloud. We'll see you next week. Until then, say peace. Somebody.